I spent time in both these communities and they're lovely people. You get to see. OC spray has been deployed.
Go away.
Don't touch the mic. You're meant to speak. You're meant to be speaking truth to power. Are you here just to take your marching orders? Is that what you're here for?
Do you want to go away?
Not really. I'm here to do what you should be doing.
Yeah? Please take this out of my mouth. I'm going to have you escorted off for security.
All right. Do that.
Prime Minister, are you worried to take questions because you saw what happened to Jacinta Allen? Are you scared of answering the tough questions? Yesterday was the first time you didn't conflate anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Is that because you recognise that a lot of the hate is from the Muslim community?
Who come and approach? Who come and approach?
Mate,
I'm gonna fucking get you.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna fucking get you.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna
Leave.
do?
Hey, don't touch it. You came my way. You fuck off. You understand? You came my way.
Stay out of the camera.
What now? Can I show you? You want me to show you?
Right, one of the main interests of the debate, the Israeli police always make sure that only Muslims go. Jews and Christians are allowed to go through here. They're limited where infidels...
No Jews beyond these steps, pretty much.
No.
The only way Jews are allowed on nowadays, it's fairly new.
One place. You were arrested once upon a time because the police would say you're upsetting the Muslims and they'd get too angry, then there'd be violence, there'd be war.
I don't know, but this guy's going to get punched out.
I just got threatened by the head of news and programming of CNBC. Are you serious?
That's him there.
Why do you think you deserve so much power? Hey, Yemini, should I be scared now? Don't push me, bro. What? What are you getting violent for, man? I could push just like you can, man. Look at these thugs. They fund wars around the world and then you question them. They try not only to intimidate you, but physically assault you.
And these are the activists that lost control of the situation today. This is Antifa, the socialists, the Marxists.
Pro-Palestinian supporters are coming to the Jewish community and instigating what can only be termed as a violent demonstration.
But you're at a synagogue. Why did you come to a synagogue if it's not about Jews?
You find Palestine war criminals in there.
How would you feel if Jews went to a mosque?
Shame on you. Shame on you for conflating the two.
Are you talking about anti-Semitism when you're not Jewish?
Because I've been impacted by anti-Semitism.
Are you a Jew?
No, people think I am, and I've been called a fucking Jew and had someone threaten to kick my ass because they thought I was Jewish, so it's impacted me as well. We are not anti-Semitic.
Are you listening to yourself?
Yes.
Jacinta, we understand it's easier to run away, but what would you say to the Jewish community for them to believe that you could keep them safe since you failed them for a year and a half? Look at that. Look at, what are you doing? Why are you blocking my way, mate? Jacinta, why are you running away from the tough question? Why are you running away? Like a coward. No Jew can believe you're going to keep him safe. You came for a photo op. Does it look like how you expected it to look? Is it bigger, smaller?
It's smaller.
Yeah.
Man, I don't need that.
You're not going to wear it?
Nah.
Wow. How are you going to do your photo at the wall? You have to wear one at the wall.
You have to?
Yeah.
All right.
You're going to look weird. People are going to look at you. We just need to get that photo.
All right, let's go pay our respects.
Can you tell us why you're still wearing a mask? Is that for COVID or to like protect your identity? Touch my... Look at her. So she's the victim now. She's the victim. Look at the victim. When have I ever been caught with Nazis?
To go up there when Posey Parker was here. I saw you with my own eyes.
With Nazis?
Yes, with Nazis.
Me?
Yes, Michael Coulston and all his mates.
You know I wasn't there on that day.
You were there. I saw you. I was there myself.
You're also somebody that can't define what a woman is. I'm not sure we'll take your witness testimony as the strongest here, but
Here's the thing. It shouldn't matter what my definition of a woman is.
to women it
shouldn't be
matters.
up to one person to define to others what they should do. Yeah?
Biology should, though.
Are you not ashamed of what you've done in the last couple of years? If any other product in the world doesn't work as promised, you get a refund. Should you not refund to countries that laid out billions for your vaccine?
The Lord is my shepherd.
Come from this side.
I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still water. He restores my soul and leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Are you going to apologise for getting everything wrong, from mask mandates to vaccine mandates? Dr. Tedros, this is your chance to apologise to the world for your role during COVID. Would you like to take it?
Oh,
But
and you too, Rukshan.
why are you picking on Rukshan? He's a person of colour. He's a protected species.
These are not real journalists. These are cooked podcasters.
This is not a real it's a cooked
Older people like you guys, you can't grasp the idea.
Excuse me, I'm quite young.
All right, buddy.
I identify as 19.
Why is it harmful that people want to, like, identify as another gender? How does that harm you?
How does it harm you that I want to identify as 19?
It doesn't harm me.
Okay, so then why don't you accept it?
I didn't say I didn't accept it.
Do you accept that I'm 19?
If you want to say that, it doesn't f***ing matter. It doesn't affect me.
Will you take back your statement where you said that I was an old man?
What?
I am home. I am home. I am home. I am home. I'm with my people here. I'm with my Australians. What do you want to do, man? I'm home. I'm home. I'm Australian. I'm home. I'm Australian. One of us, Rukshan. I'm Australian. One of us. Look at you guys. Look at you guys. I'm Australian. Cowards.
Why is the Prime Minister such a coward? Does he pay you to protect his cowardice? They say regaining trust is the theme this year. Are you part of the reason why they've lost trust in the WEF and everybody finally knows who you are and what you stand for? Thank you, Dr. Tedros, for showing us how transparent you and the World Economic Forum. Many of the arguments that are made against Israel can be made about Australia. Do you agree? Are you on stolen land?
Oh, we are on stolen land, undoubtedly.
And did we colonise?
We did, undoubtedly.
So now, if an Aboriginal terrorist group committed the same atrocities, would you agree?
No, which one? I better stop, Alvin.
If you refuse to move on, you'll be committing an offence. You'll get arrested for that offence.
Right, what's the offence?
Okay. Failure to move on.
Right, under which act?
Under which act?
Yeah.
Mate.
He was already arrested. He was already arrested.
Was that you? All right, mate. You're under arrest. Failure to move on.
Snitches get stitches. James, just so you know, that arrest is more real than the genocide. Do you guys cause trouble or not?
Sometimes.
Sometimes what kind of trouble?
Breaking in there.
Really? Is that fun?
No.
Do you get in trouble for it?
Yeah.
They're throwing rocks at us. Yeah, all good.
All good.
So there we are. Early on, they're throwing rocks at us already. These are kids out late. Police are barely doing anything. Why do you need a negotiation? Can't Hamas just release the hostages?
Hamas said yes. When Hamas said yes to the negotiation, Netanyahu said no. Hamas said yes.
Do you believe Hamas?
Of course I believe Hamas.
Do you believe Hamas?
I believe Hamas more than I believe Netanyahu. Yes, you can quote me. I believe Hamas more than I believe my Prime Minister. Yes, no doubt.
That is wild. All right, guys. I just think it's amazing, though, that you're in Tel Aviv and you're able to do that. And that's what I love about Israel. I think it's a free... Welcome back to the Opposition Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, there's been a little bit of a change, a promised change on the screens. We're playing with it, so I'm not sure it's all working 100%. In fact, I don't see any X comments, so not sure if they're coming through at the moment. But we definitely have
I think I saw an X comment.
You did?
Yeah, I think I did. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the show. I think it looks good. I like it. Maybe we just got to put some sort of, encase the chat in something. So it kind of, I don't know.
In case,
it's happening. It's coming through. I don't know. Just some sort of gradient background, some sort of design.
You want the design changed?
Just to kind of bring it all together. It's kind of like in no man's land at the moment, but I think we're moving forward.
I can definitely
have all the chats.
It's too small to read. Somebody says. Because I'm getting it on a big screen, so maybe I'm.
Yeah, on a phone it would be too small, I reckon. But guys, watch us on the big screen. Watch us on the TV.
That's right. That's what you need to do. Let me see if it's. Hold on.
Do a test on X. Make sure, guys. If you're watching on X, put some comments through. It should be coming through on X. I'm pretty sure.
You can zoom in on the phone. You can zoom in.
Okay.
I think it looks pretty good. I like it, as long as it's all flowing through and everybody can get involved in the conversation this way. Look, it's like a balance, like if you make it too big...
distracting.
Well, if you make it too... Should we just play with it while we're live? Should I just do it and get the consensus by the people?
You really want to do this?
Yeah,
live?
I've been enjoying playing with this today. What do you guys reckon? Let's get... X comment incoming, so just see that. Should I play with it?
Yeah, I'll go for it. I'll just comment on your X as well.
What do we? I need your support to make it happen. What did I have to do? So I have to, if I want the text to be bigger, I make the width smaller. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Make it 720 by something.
I won't make it that big, but I'll go. Let's say right now I got it 800, 1200, so I'll go 800, right?
Yeah. Try that.
And the height should remain the same because the height is good, I think. Let's see what happens. Hold on. What did I do? Did I do it? Oh, no, that went the other way.
No, it's there. It's coming.
Oh, it restarts the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's annoying. Should I just undo what I did? Because that was ridiculous. I want to make the text bigger, so I would have to drag it out. Oh, no, yeah, then you just...
Make that bigger.
Drag. Yeah, you're right. Go like... Oh, yeah.
Guys, welcome to the live editing. As we set up this new look opposition podcast, change a few things. We're getting the input from all of you as we do this. I think that text size is actually easier to read.
Yeah, I just like it to fill in the space that I made for it. That's better?
Yeah, that's good. That's easy to read.
Guys, smash some comments out so that it tests it. Yeah. There we go. I think that's better, no? I think we did it live.
Let me just comment on X again. Shalom, shalom. I'm writing on your thing.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom, everyone. All right, look, hope you're all enjoying it. Yeah, I think we can see it.
Yeah, X comments coming. I can see the X comments there from Stray. Sort of X next to it. It's coming through. Everything's working.
I like the look of this. And
I like it, yeah.
What do you want me to put like a little bit of a blur panel behind it? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Just so it's like a little bit like, a little bit of design, guys.
Hold on, I've got one that I've just got the old one, and then I can change it. Where's that one? Here. And we go, so we can stick it in there. Let's see. If
That's what I mean. Yeah, something like that.
I know what you mean.
Well, I would have preferred a gradient, like a slight hue gradient background that kind of blends in.
What does that even
that's probably
mean?
Too complex for you.
Yeah, mate. You're lucky I can even do this. Like, that works.
Nice. Yeah, I am having Dr. Pepper, guys. I'm just seeing in the comments. I am having Dr. Pepper, yes.
I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know about you. You might have to design something else if you want something else, mate. I don't know. You design stuff that's too flashy. I just like clean. As long as we don't... As long as we don't get censored, Avi, look, mate, your comments literally on screen. How am I censoring you? You can see, I have my hands here.
Yeah. Guys, everyone's comments come through. That's why we did this change, because we wanted to get the Facebook, X, even Rumble possibly comments coming through, so you guys can take part in the conversation as you're watching. But as always, house rules, I'm just doing what you normally do, Avi. If you want to, have your comment read on screen where we actually interact with you guys, please put through a super chat on either mine or Avi's YouTube. So that's how you can get your comments on screen for us to interact with them as we go. And many times, Avi, over the last couple of episodes, some of the comments from the users, the viewers have led us in different tangents and different discussions. So it's a very interactive show, guys. As much as we do have a set format and a few things that we're going to discuss today, we do like to, get everyone involved in the show.
What we prep is we've learned how to do it. This is our little shtick. We basically work out the stories we want to speak about, kind of load them up, and then we kind of get guided by the comments, and we get guided by you guys on top of what we've planned. We generally get through what we plan, the stories that we plan to talk about. But not always. Sometimes there is so much happening. There's a fair bit happening today, but I'm pretty confident we'll get through it all. But as you can see on the side, there's a bunch of you trolling. Trolling's great. And Eric says he's fussy and it looks great. There we go. Angus says it's actually easier for me to kind of read it as well here as it's coming up. Avi, love you guys. Keep up the great work. Great. And we've got, I saw there was a couple I know there was one that was going on about Thomas Sewell being arrested, apparently. I don't know if it's true, but it's very telling.
Again.
Well, that's what one of the comments, you were just talking, so I didn't get a chance to have a chance to react to it as it was scrolling.
Reached bail or something.
Who knows? But the comment a minute ago was saying, I'll go back and just read it because it's scrolled past. Joel Davis has just been arrested by the feds. It's crazy how hard the government is going in on them.
Joel Davis.
Sorry, I said Saul? Sorry. Joel Davis, yeah. I'm confusing the losers. The government is going hard on them after they protested the Jewish lobby. Very telling. The funny thing is I've unpacked this time and time again. It's not.
I'll send you the apparently it's over. I'm just reading from the NSN news source, which I don't know if it's officially linked to the NSN, but I do see
it is.
Joel Davis and others as commentators. So it makes you wonder. So Joel Davis on that apparently it has been charged over a Telegram post and refused bail.
Wow.
Wonder what the Telegram post was. Maybe we can get to that later as well.
Yeah, we could probably pull it up if it's still if it's somewhere else. Okay, guys. Like we said, every time, you know what? Welcome to the show. Make sure to smash that like button. Help the algorithm. Let's get more people involved in the conversations. Get involved in the conversations there via the chats on, I believe, any platform you're watching on. Let us know if it's not coming through. But the main ones are Facebook, X, and YouTube. It seems to all be working. If you want a super chat, basically the super chats are the ones we read out on the show. You get to redirect the conversation, plus get to support us here, just like the one I'm about to bring up, which says, Lucas says, hey, Avi, when are you going to the States next? I don't know yet. I want to go back at some time soon, but there is nothing locked in. Why is that, Lucas? Yeah. I reckon we can get straight into the first story that we had planned. By the way, did you get a chance to send me that other thing? Did you send to...
I couldn't send that through, no.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Maybe you can read it for us once we do this because it's relevant to this story.
Yeah, I can summarize it.
Okay, here we go.
Pauline Hanson had a pep in her step as she strolled into a Sydney courtroom this morning. The One Nation leader is rising in the opinion polls and is hoping for a major legal win. She's just opened an appeal in the federal court seeking to overturn a ruling that she was racist when she told a Greens senator to go back to Pakistan. Our National Affairs editor Hugh Remington is following the case. Hugh, where did this all begin?
Well, Angela, it all began actually with the death of Her Majesty the Queen back in 2022, and it's brought these two polar opposite politicians back before the court. In the hours after the Queen died, the Green Senator Mehreen Faruqi took to what was then still called Twitter to declare that she would, quote, not mourn the leader of a racist empire. Well, Senator Faruqi received a torrent of abusive responses before Senator Hanson chimed in to tell her, via Twitter, among other things, to pack her bags and piss off back to Pakistan. Well, last November, a judge found that that tweet was promoting a racist trope that migrants, and especially Muslims, do not belong in Australia. And he found that Senator Hanson had breached Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act. Well, launching Pauline Hanson's appeal today, Sue Chrysanthou SC told the court that the judgment in the first case was extreme and ignored the context of the kind of language that is typically used on social media. The court can't sit in an ivory tower, said Sue Chrysanthou. Twitter, she said, is overwhelmingly a place where people feel free to express themselves in ways that they might not do in person. She said it's not like afternoon tea or a church gathering. There is a lot of money and legal fees riding on this case, but it's not a criminal case. What matters here, though, is whether words such as go back to where you came from are racist in the terms of the law, whether they can be said in public, or whether that is unlawful language under the terms of the Racial Discrimination Act. So in terms of freedom of speech, there is a lot riding on it. We haven't yet heard in this appeal so far from Senator Faruqi's lawyers.
Thanks, Hugh.
Okay, so that's kind of the backstory. That's a couple of days old. I know we only got to that today because that was the story we promised the viewers we would cover this episode. Do you want to read some of what... it's kind of funny. The whole story is ludicrous.
Yeah, because I think the backstory is important in this scenario because obviously it's an appeal. And I think it's almost a year ago when Mehreen Faruqi actually won that racial discrimination claim against Senator Hanson. And, in our line of business, Avi, even past couple of days, all types of people telling me to go elsewhere. It's quite normal in terms of the discussions that take place when it comes to politics, where people use those type of terms. This whole thing with 18C, I don't know if you can kind of expand a little bit on what 18C means for those people that don't know, Avi, in terms of racial discrimination, because that's what the main crux of what Pauline Hanson was found to have breached and now what's being appealed against. And Sue Chrysanthou, Pauline Hanson's lawyer, who's a very good lawyer, is basically, I think, from my understanding, is arguing that those comments were made in, they might seem inflammatory, but it's just a normal political discourse, said during a heated moment where Mehreen Faruqi herself had made incendiary comments about the Queen, and Pauline Hanson had replied in kind. But also she mentioned, I believe, that one of the things the judge took note of last year when they found against Pauline Hanson was, she had attacked Muslims as well. Whereas Pauline Hanson's lawyer now, Sue Chrysanthou, is saying that the Racial Discrimination Act doesn't really cover Muslims or, religion specifically. It's more about race.
Right.
And those arguments are taking place or have taken place over the last couple of days, where Mehreen Faruqi's lawyers have said, come to the conclusion that, no, it includes everything, Muslim. It's a subset of who an individual is in Australia. So it's a part of their racial identity or intersectionality or something like this. They use some term like this. So, I think this does have far-reaching consequences when we look at free speech, because originally I don't find anything wrong with what what Pauline Hanson said last year, and I think a lot of people would not find anything wrong with it. But Mehreen Faruqi has made a point to really use the systems that we have, use that 18C law to stifle free speech of Australians, because I think a lot of people will be afraid now to talk in a certain manner when we should be allowed to criticize people. Like, I don't care when people tell me to go back to wherever. Right? It happens a lot. It happens to you.
Mate, it happens a lot. And
how much does it happen? To you, like, how much has it happened in our political discourse over the last 2-3 years? in relation to Israel
and
Gaza.
And it's funny because up until this war, the left used to just cry about it. I don't know exactly when this was. I believe it was after October 7. But since October 7, which is even funnier because since October 7, the left have really jumped on the bandwagon of telling people like me to go back to where we come from, go to Israel or whatever. And ironically, like many of the people that tell me to go back to Israel also deny Israel's right to exist. So it kind of gets confusing. On one hand, they tell me to go there. On the other hand, they tell us I don't belong there. The only thing I can take from that is they want me to go there and they want Hamas to rule. So they want me to die quietly. But 18C, for people who don't know, it refers to Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act. A couple of key points. It applies to public acts, not private conversations. The act can be done because of a person's the act must be done because of a person's race or ethnicity, and that's what you're referring to is Islam. Unlike for example Jews are an ethnicity as well as a religion. Islam is not like that. It's not an ethnicity or a race. So I guess this is going to test that point in there. There is an important companion section 18D which protects freedom of expression by exempting artistic artworks, academic and scientific debate, fair comment on matters of public interest, which I would believe this is where that would fit in. You know, it is.
Well, I mean, it was accepted even in the previous ruling that it was a matter of public interest. So that wasn't denied as far as I understand, even in the previous judgment, because, you know, Mehreen Faruqi had made those comments, but it was that Pauline Hanson's response back to those comments was specifically targeted towards her because she was a immigrant Pakistani Muslim. So because of her race, that is why she said go back to her country. But I agree with what Pauline Hanson said last time, and even still maintains till today, that she would have said that to anyone. And I don't think that is who Pauline Hanson is in the sense of, I'm not saying she's a racist. I'm saying she loves Australia.
I think
she would have said those comments to anyone.
But I think the comment's fair in of itself in the context. When you're saying to somebody that serves in this country, in our parliament, that's gotten everything off the back of moving here, going, hold on, mate. If you're not happy with what you've received, why don't you just go back to where you came from? That's not even like if you make that into a racist comment, it's almost as ridiculous as Curly Smith being dragged through the courts for pointing out a man pretending to be a woman in women's sport is actually just a man playing women's sport. It's like it's insane. It's saying something basic, especially in the space of political commentary, which is exactly what you want our representatives, our parliamentary representatives, the people we vote in for. We want them to say it as it is, and around political issues, and this is a political issue, and I tend to agree with.
Well, the only way that it would be fair is if Mehreen Faruqi wasn't allowed to say criticism about Australia or the Queen. She has that freedom to make those criticisms, and, you know, call Australia the colonial empire, whatever, and, you know, disparage Australia like she does all the time. Like, that is a part of who she is. She disparages Australia all the time and praises, you know, foreign nations, including Pakistan. So if you want to play in that, you know, battlefield of ideas and, you know, discussions as a politician, then someone should be able to be like, well, if you don't like it here, you can go elsewhere. If you like, you know, I'm happy to say that to the thousands of terror supporters in Australia that support foreign terrorist regimes and burn the Australian flag at the same time. Well, if you don't like it in Australia, go somewhere else where, you know, you are welcome and your ideology is welcome. I think those are legitimate things that we should be able to say. So it is. I'm a bit worried about where this is going. Like, it's not very clear, even from the discussions that took place over the last couple of days, what the court is going to find in this regard. I do feel like it's weighted against Pauline Hanson and the rest of us who appreciate free speech. I feel like it might go towards Faruqi again, but let's see.
What have I done? Sorry. That's right. So I'm just looking at a bit of the history of 18C itself. So it was introduced in 1995, and because I do vaguely remember the whole debate around amendments of it. So in 2014, the Attorney General released an exposure draft that would have repealed 18C and related sections, replacing it with a narrower prohibition on vilify and intimidate only. In 2017, there was another attempt. The Human Rights Legislation Amendment Bill 2009 sought to change the test in 18C, replacing the words offend, insult, humiliate with just harass and keep intimidate. These reform attempts did not pass. I remember and one of the things I think that's important surrounding this conversation is, it's often there's when people in the comments love to talk about, the Jews hate free speech, all the Jewish organizations supported 18C, and the truth is, a bunch of the peak bodies of the Jewish community, against the will of conservative Jews, did push for 18C. But you had organizations like in 2017, certainly, that were pushing back against it, were organizations or the bodies of the organizations prior to forming to what it is today, the Australian Jewish Association. So conservative Jewish bodies were fighting back, were pushing against it, were saying, and I think that kind of gives you the perfect demonstration of what the Jewish community is like. It's not a monolith. There are people that support it because they, I think a lot of people within the Jewish community, from a position of fear and misunderstanding, not really looking at our history, knowing that the first thing they do when they target us is stifle freedom of speech, and the only way to fight these bad ideas is with good ideas and standing up for people's right to have bad ideas. But I personally, I've been campaigning against 18C and any of these vilification laws for years. I think it's been used against the right. I remember Andrew Bolt was found in breach of it. I think he may have got a massive fine for it. Let's see who's been.
And I do want to make note. So appearing against Hanson in this hearing is also lawyers for the Racial Discrimination Commissioner as well. So, this is
ganging up on her.
Yeah, this is a very important issue for that side. So that's why I'm saying it feels like it's weighted against Hanson in this particular instance.
All right, so this is interesting. So let's look at the notable cases where 18C was found to be breached. Bolt in 2011, he wrote an article suggesting that certain fair-skinned Aboriginal people identified as Indigenous for personal advantage. Dude, sorry, I don't want to say it because I don't want to breach it, but
that's commonly said online. That is commonly a part of the discourse.
It is so true as well. That's the thing about when you have a law which is based on how people feel, how people interpret what somebody else says about them. The outcome in that case was the federal court found the articles were likely to offend, insult, humiliate, or intimidate based on race, and were not protected by Section 18D. So that's the point. It's like, it's so subjective. Prior to that, so a QUT staff member lodged the complaint against several students. Students posted comments on Facebook after being asked to leave an Indigenous-only community lab. The outcome of that case, the case did not ultimately result in a finding of a breach. Oh, that one was dismissed. I'm more interested in ones. Okay, so there was a Holocaust denier in 2002. Frederick October. He published material online denying the Holocaust and vilifying Jewish people. The federal court found this breached 18C. The material was vilifying based on ethnicity and race. That's so funny because, well, what I find funny in that is, all right, how did that turn out? How did it turn out taking somebody to federal court in breach of 18C for Holocaust denial when you can go on Twitter now, X right now, probably in the comments of our own video, it has exploded. So that is proof that this kind of legislation doesn't actually stop.
Doesn't mean a thing.
It doesn't stop people from saying, well, in fact, I think it pushed it underground for that period of time. And suddenly everybody's wondering, why is it so prevalent in the community? Why is it so online? It's everywhere now, Holocaust denial. Like the court would not even have the time to take on a hundredth of the cases of this kind of Holocaust denial.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's very clear that this can be used in an opportunistic way for political reasons. And I think that's what Mehreen Faruqi has done here as well. So for her, this is a big statement piece. This is a massive, if you listen to the rhetoric behind what she says after winning as well last year, it's around, now all immigrants and now all people of color can speak up finally against the white colonizers and hold them accountable. So this is kind of it's all couched in this us versus them mentality when it comes to speech. Because, and I say us versus them because Mehreen Faruqi's side, and I'm talking about people like her and Lydia Thorpe, when they talk in public, they will talk in the most disgusting ways about Australia and about white people. And there's no consequences to anything that they're saying or doing when it comes to those comments. And a lot of people would find it offensive. So this is the hypocrisy, Avi, of this whole thing. And, this right now, when you're talking about the comments people make about Jewish people and the Holocaust, not even just on X, Avi, just, in Parliament House even, or politicians in interviews, they make the same similar type of statements in they're trying to hide it, obviously, but it's all very normalized. So at the end of the day, I think this is just going to be another one of those nails in the long coffin of destroying free speech, if I put that correctly.
Yeah,
it just feels like that.
I think so. And the other two cases, there was, while I'm here, is a taxi driver and a passenger. So that's just one. The conduct was humiliating and racially motivated. So that was the respondent used racial slurs and threats against an Aboriginal man. And the last one that there was found breach... New South Wales police officers racially abusive remarks during an interaction with a complainant. Look, forget those last two are just private matters. The rest of them, the other one, so the Bolt QUT, well, that one was ultimately dismissed. So the Holocaust denier, you can't say that has helped anyone. And Bolt was completely ridiculous and politically motivated. There's no, if you look at the people again on the left, since October 7, that have racially vilified Jews since October 7, or Israelis, or whatever ethnicity, or no one's ever dragged through the courts there. No one's show me a case. It just doesn't happen. And Mehreen Faruqi, for what she says against white people, why has she never been dragged through the courts under 18C? White Australia is definitely a race, but it's always one way. It's politically motivated. It's lawfare as well. It's used to silence conservative voices like Pauline Hanson and Andrew Bolt. And I'm glad she's
that's what they brought up in the case. They were dredging up comments that Pauline Hanson's made over decades and saying that, well, this is proof that she's a racist. She's been a racist from the start. I think they brought up some comments that she's written in a book in 1997 or 1998, something like this, talking about how one day we're going to have this kind of multiracial cyborg lesbian as a leader of Australia. Pauline Hanson kind of sounds like a visionary of sorts. She's Nostradamus. She can see the future because look where we are today. But they're bringing up these type of old comments, linking her back to all of that, saying, this is all about her. It shows you that she's a racist, pretty much. And when she made those comments against Mehreen Faruqi, that she was acting in malice against Muslims and people of color because she's just a racist overall. So that's why she can't argue that it was a normal political argument back and forth in that way, where her lawyer Sue Crisanto has come out and said, well, that's not the case. And like we talked about earlier, whether someone being of a Muslim faith even falls within racial discrimination. Apparently it does.
We're gonna follow that case. I'm
Yeah,
hoping
it's actually
for the
it's finished now. So we're just
waiting
for the court to decide. Someone asked in the comments.
The decision was it just? It was just an appeal, so probably.
Yeah.
Because I think it was in court 2 days ago, and I don't imagine it went more than a day. Appeals generally go 1 to 2 days max, as opposed to the trials. So we will follow that, and for the sake of Australia, I hope she wins it. I hope she wins the appeal, and I know what I'm going to do to celebrate. I'll be telling Mehreen Faruqi where to go. Thank you for the super chat, Paul Murray. Do Pakistani rap gangs, let's call them, operate in Australia? Actually, interesting you say that. There was one in Dandenong, in your old area.
Was there?
I don't know if they're Pakistani. They may have been Afghan. It may have been Afghan. But there was one. Yeah, there's.
It's not as prevalent as the UK.
No, I don't think. I don't think we have the. We definitely don't have the Pakistani communities like they do in the UK. We don't know how many. There they have a massive.
Well, it's the communities plus the fact that we're talking about decades of these communities being completely, in no way assimilated with the rest of British culture, doing their own thing, taking over entire areas, and law enforcement and the left, let's just say it how it is, turning a blind eye to what's going on. And we don't really have that problem to that extent in Australia. Like, we haven't got these massive enclaves yet like they have in the UK. It's just building up now. There are a few, of course, but not to the extent where you have one racial group of people from one country and one area having complete control over a town or an area. And in the UK, you do have places where it's all Pakistani area, it's all a Bangladeshi area, and so on. So I think that's when these problems start to rise up. And then you look at the social economic issues in the UK, and a lot of these young girls ending up in situations where they can be taken advantage of. We still, I think, have a decent system to protect young people here in Australia. But, it's always a couple of decades, Avi, even a couple of years of that being disintegrated. And we saw that with the childcare system. Like, how horrific has it been over the last year? And even ABC did that massive report on this, where we're finding out that there's so many pedophiles who have joined into this childcare system over decades, and now we're kind of getting the end result of that is these children being abused en masse in Australia. So it can happen, and it just really takes years of people turning a blind eye to it and not being focused on protecting the most vulnerable in society. So we really have to have our guard up in Australia, obviously, as a lot of things that we value and our ethical framework here in Australia is disintegrating. And you do have cultures who are not equal to the West having more prominence and more of a say around, what goes in this country. And I think we really need to keep our guard up. Back to that question.
Yeah, there is. There have been a couple of situations where we've got a bit of a taste. Think about the SCAF gang. I think they were called. There's been a couple of them, but
Lebanese gang, right?
Lebanese, yeah. So we've had a few different Islamic groups. There was one. I'm pretty sure the one in Dandenong was Afghani, but I might be wrong. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We don't have huge Pakistani communities like they do. Like in
Well, the Pakistani immigration to Australia is very different to the Pakistani immigration to
Why?
the UK. So the Pakistani immigration to Australia is was more based originally around skilled migration, and a lot of the people that fled, as far as I understand, a lot of the people that fled Pakistan for various political reasons. You'll find a lot of them are more from a highly educated backgrounds
In Australia.
I'm in Australia, going backwards. Whereas in the UK, they brought in people from not necessarily for high skilled individuals. They brought in people from all types of backgrounds from Pakistan to work in particular factories or in mills and things like this. So to replace workers in the UK that were no longer, for whatever reason, I think for economic reasons mostly. So there was less scrutiny around the types of people that were coming. So that's why you have this massive population in Pakistan that don't really, in the UK that don't really come from this skilled migrant background, as it is in Australia. Because a lot of the Pakistani people that I run into here in Australia, they're more like your Mehreen Faruqis, maybe, if they're left wing. She's someone. Her son is also, what is he, a journalist or something? She's fairly well established in Australia. Her family, Osman Faruqi, right?
Yeah.
And then she's got a few investment properties, and she's a part of a political party, so she's more from that that background. So that, I think that's the difference, really. There's a mass of immigration into the UK of unskilled peoples that haven't really integrated whatsoever once they've gotten there.
Yeah. Well, in the UK, there are approximately what have we got? Oh no, one. Oh yeah, so I'm just trying to see if they're separating. According to the 2021 UK census, there are approximately 1.5 million people of Pakistani ethnicity living in England alone. And then, including Scotland, Wales, New Zealand, the total UK figure is 166. So 1.6 million, getting up to 1.7. But that's in 2021. 1.6, let's say. 1.6 million, that's 3% of the population, 2.8% of the population. Whereas in Australia, there in 2021, there was 89,000, or 89.6, almost 90,000.
Yeah.
What does that make what percentage? What was our population in 2021?
Probably like 25 million, 26.
Yeah, so the Pakistani-born community made up of 0.35%, as opposed to there, it is almost 3%. So that just gives you an idea. That's 10 times.
Yep.
10 times. 10 times the number in percentage, but then by sheer number, you're talking about 90,000 versus 1.6 million, and this is in 2021. This is already 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just the fact that they're Pakistani.
And you're saying that
it's
it
also
is kind of migration.
Also like there's a cultural religious element to all of this as well that allows for these things to kind of take place in terms of how these communities are structured and the role of men and the role of women within some of these societies, even within the UK. We talk about things like Sharia courts and things like this happening, and that's within these communities. So, there are these like groups of men, Avi, that have gotten together in these communities and done these things, sometimes without, their knowledge of their families, or even if the families knew, which looks like in some instances people knew about it, even they wouldn't necessarily involve themselves in it. Like they just let it happen. Like that's what was going on. Even some of the people in the police enforcement, in law enforcement, knew that it was happening. Some police people even allegedly took part in it. So that to happen, it's we're not there yet, thank God, in Australia.
No.
And that again, going back to that question. So, we don't have it to that extent, but, we should be well prepared to,
Well, this is
vigilant.
the issue they demonized Tommy over, was the fact that he was highlighting it and focusing on it. And at the time when you couldn't talk about it, they were busy. The entire establishment, from the government to the police to the council to the press, everybody was actively covering it up.
Yeah.
And in certain areas, all the above took part in it. In communities where it was very high Pakistani concentrations of people, then you saw police themselves involved, council members, a lot of kebab shops. Yeah. Wow, let's read some of these super chats coming through. We've got Lewis, thank you for the super chat. That square is bothering my eye. Let me see. Did I accidentally change
What
that?
square?
It doesn't matter. I don't think the square of the logo of the... Anyway, it's something that's just bothering my... I don't know why it bothers me. Lewis says, Avi, do you think JD Vance would make a good president? Me personally, I don't trust him, and I think he could easily be influenced by the woke right. I agree with you. We were talking about this last episode. I think he's a follower, not a leader. That pretty much sums it up. What about you? That's, I think, what we agreed on last time.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has so many good qualities about him, but he lets himself down. It sounds crazy to say for of someone who's a VP, but I feel like he's audience captured, like some of these political commentators are when it comes to some issues. He does talk tough, but not when it counts. And there's been so many examples that people have shown of him doing this, where he goes on tirades against individuals for not too much of a serious thing that they've done or said online. But when his wife is, for instance, attacked over her, race or religion, or his family's attacked, he's very different in the way that he responds. So I don't know, but yeah, there are certain signs with JD Vance that are worrying for sure.
Anthony, you're a bit late. I think you were the third or fourth comment, but says that it's Trump's fault. What have we discussed so far? Pauline Hanson, 18C. It's Trump's fault. In fact, if Trump got his way, there would be no 18C. That's just
no. Trump would not be able to open his mouth if there was an 18C in the USA.
Matty B from Australia says, hey, what you guys think of a social media ban coming? We're going to touch base on that in a minute, Matty. That's part of the stories we have lined up. So just stay there for a bit, watch his space, and thanks for the super chat. Thanks for your support. And you've also said the eSafety Commissioner removing apps. I didn't see that part.
Is she removing app? No, it doesn't ring a bell. You got to look it up.
Yeah.
Maybe he means removing apps from certain ages, because that's kind of what's happening. Unless she has specified I think there was a certain chat app that they wanted to ban altogether.
Let's just... I don't see anything about that. Maybe give us more details, but yeah, or you just mean that they're removing kids. I don't know. But we'll be talking about the ban in a few minutes. Eric, thank you for the super chat. Says, has the U.S. Congress called for the commissioner to answer the Has the U.S. Congress called for the e-commissioner to answer to the Congress? Yes, that's part of that. We've got that story as well coming up, guys. Thank you, Eric. We'll touch that in a minute too. Noah, welcome back to the chat. Says, I was watching a video of Myron Gaines the other day, and he claims that only 200,000 something Jews were murdered. I'm not sure where he got that info. They just make stuff up. It's just like October 7. Like, I never even understood that argument. What's your point? Let's pretend you're true. Let's pretend what you're saying is true. These are the same people that are saying that Israel should get wiped off the map because 67,000 people is a genocide and Israel is the most evil regime in the history of all time. And now they're arguing that, no, it wasn't 6 million Jews that were butchered brutally by the Nazis. It was just 200,000. How's 200,000 cool now? It wasn't 200,000. The Germans were very good at keeping records. But even if we're playing your little denial game, isn't it weird that it's the same people who say the 67,000 dead people in a war is genocide, is playing down, what, 200,000 people?
Well, they don't say just 67,000, Avi. You're lowering the number because they say 200,000, 500,000 people dead.
I don't know if
Myron says it, but I'm just saying the general gist of this whole debate. That's what they say. So they say that within that year, that what we've seen within the 2 years, that somehow 500,000 people have been genocided in Palestine. But
there's another time. Yeah.
At the same time, those same people will then say, well, in the couple of years that Hitler, was fighting with amongst all these countries in Europe where there was millions and millions of Jews living, only a smaller fraction of that number were taken out. So, I mean, none of their maths or anything that they say adds up. It's all exaggerated for whichever, argument that they want to make at any given point. And this denial of the Holocaust is, the main, like, it's like the masterpiece of all their conspiracies, because, they want to say that they've been doing it since then, and that's how they took control of the world and took control of everyone by, getting sympathy for themselves and getting Israel and all these things. So, you can't trust these people. Like, that's kind of why they say all this nonsense.
Yeah. I guess they better be wary of the Palestinians, that they don't use it to try to get a state now.
Yeah, 500,000, they're saying, some of them.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Thank you, Noah. Baz the Dark Horse, welcome back to the Super Chats. UK cousins and goats.
UK is how you say it.
UK.
Immigrants say it. UK.
Cousins and goats for all.
I can't say it how they say it, but yeah, there is a way that they say it. It's a running joke.
I'm just not cool enough to know about these jokes. Aquidi, welcome back to the Super Chats. Says Tommy spoke about them coming from Kashmir to UK. Is that true? Is it Kashmir a specific?
There might be people coming from Kashmir. I'm not too closely.
Tommy likes the Indian migrants. He gets a lot of crap for that.
He does, yes. I think he likes the Sikh and Indian migrants. He's got a lot of Sikh people around him as well.
His problem is the ideology, not the skin color of the person. That's why the ethno-nationalists hate him.
Yeah.
Brett, welcome back to the Super Chat. Says, evening chaps, great day on Saturday at the Story Bridge with the Man Up crew. I didn't see that. Maybe shoot us through some footage of that. I didn't actually end up seeing that. So he's talking about the protest with the people from Destiny Church. Remember, he was talking about it on Thursday, that he was letting us know that he's going. Well done for going, mate. I didn't actually see it anywhere, so not sure what was the turnout like. Give us some more details. Julian Campbell says, our great nation, built on Judean Christian truth, does not need this BS. Praying for Pauline, our nation, and our rights as Australians. Bless you both for the great work you both do. Really appreciate it, Julian.
Thanks, Julian.
Mind you, Rukshan doesn't really do much, but whatever. We've cleared that up a long time ago. I'm going to jump to the story that was making news as we came here tonight. Neo-Nazi leader arrested by AFP at Bondi over alleged harassment of federal MP. Okay, a neo-Nazi who led an anti-Jewish rally outside New South Wales Parliament has been taken into custody and charged by Australian Federal Police for allegedly harassing a federal parliamentarian. Police began investigating National Socialist Network spokesperson. They can't even say spokesman. Is that all right? Oh, there we go. That's better. Joel Davis, after identifying a message on an encrypted platform before seizing electronic devices at Bondi on Thursday. That's the gentleman we're referring to here. The message allegedly encouraged abusive and hateful messages to be directed towards a federal parliamentarian following their condemnation of National Socialist Network protest on 8th of November 2025, the AFP said in a statement. Federal Independent Allegra Spender condemned the NSN after 60 members held an Abolish the Jewish Lobby rally outside Parliament on November 8, at which Davis gave an anti-Semitic speech and led chants of the Hitler Youth, blood and honour. Online, Davis called on his supporters to rhetorically rape the Wentworth MP, Spender, as well as New South Wales Liberal Shadow Minister Kelly Sloan, revealed at the time that they had received threats and passed them on to police. It was pretty shocking and not something you ever want to hear, but we've referred to police and I have a lot of confidence in the Australian Federal Police, Bender said. AFP Detective Superintendent Jeremy Staunton said on Thursday the AFP supports freedom of speech and political expression, but let it be clear any alleged criminal behaviour, including threats and harassment, will not be tolerated. Davis is expected to face a bail court hearing in Sydney on Friday, which is tomorrow. The 30-year-old, he's only 30. The 30-year-old acts as a leader and a propagandist within the NSN, an explicitly racist group that calls for mass deportations of non-white Australians. He gives media interviews, holds regular live streams, and with other senior NSN figures, posts lengthy messages on social media, and speaks at public events. In September, he attended a Western Heritage Australia event held inside New South Wales Parliament House. Video obtained by the Herald showed him speaking from a lectern in the historic Jubilee Room, using a Q&A section to ask about the benefits of racism and supremacy. He's still dressed in black even when he's getting arrested. Look at those little shorts they love to wear. I love how they blur his face out like we don't know. You can see it's him from his glasses and his black uniform. A spokesman for the organisers said that they did not screen attendees. New South Wales Police, who approved the anti-Jewish rally outside Parliament, are still investigating whether the rally participants committed any crimes such as incitement of racial hatred. Davis's speech contained a baseless and highly offensive suggestion about anti-Semitic attacks against synagogues this year and a broad denigrations of Jews, as well as criticisms of Jewish organisations. The rally took aim at New South Wales protest laws and argued that the white man was disempowered in Australian society. Davis recently laid out the group's priority to gain registration as White Australia political party in New South Wales and Victoria, suggesting that the New South Wales upper house was a key target. In New South Wales, in theory, we will get more preferences, he said. That's why we really want to be registered to contest this election in New South Wales. That will be the worst thing for Ruddock, because half their base are the white supremacists. On Wednesday, it would be funny to see the Libertarians take preferences from White Australia, do a preference deal with White Australia, because there's who's become like a full-on Nazi is Chris Overees. He's like full, like he won't admit it, but he's just like full sharing every one of their notice.
Mate, you gotta get the transcript now. He's gonna come up here with the transcript.
Come up with the transcript, boy. But like it's so funny, like he thinks he's so clever and he's avoiding anyone being able to see what he's doing, but it's so transparent.
Well, I actually saw a comment from one of those other closet ones, Beck Freedom, on one of Chris's posts saying, Chris, looks like you're becoming radicalized more and more.
Yeah. You just, look, when they start just oversharing everything from Notice and News, which is that's their the neo-Nazis news thing. It's funny to me, people that don't realize that. Clearly they don't have their finger on the pulse. So like a little tip for anyone, if they call themselves noticing, that is their code for we are Nazis. Like that's the way that they frame themselves. So it's kind of like the left when the left said they were woke, like they're awake to what's going on. The woke right don't want to call themselves woke because that's their enemy, even though they're so similar. They call themselves they're noticing. So they're also awake. They're just noticing. They're noticing things. We just everything we notice happens to be the Jews.
Yeah, they call I saw a great. It's not the woke right, the woke Reich.
Yeah, woke Reich. I like that. On Wednesday, the New South government introduced parliamentary new laws that would make it a crime to publicly display support for Nazi ideology, punishable by $22,000 fine and up to 3,000 years in jail. 2 years in prison, but the government is refusing to release the findings of an independent review of hate speech offences, which retired Supreme Court Judge John Sakar KC submitted several days before the Parliament House rally. Interesting. Look, there's a couple of things that stick out to me in this whole story, just as it's becoming the theme.
Yeah.
You know, it is true, and they're going to use this as a recruiting tool. It is true that police, the authorities, the state are clearly going after these guys. Now, personally, I don't care if they go after these guys as long as they're going after actual crimes. I think some of this legislation and some of the things that they're coming after people like rhetorically rape, which is reading that, and this is what the Sydney Morning Herald's putting. I don't know exactly what he's posting and what they're charged with, but I'm going off this article. If the worst thing he said is to go and rhetorically rape an MP, it's a really nasty way of saying. I guess what is it saying?
It's like what he pretty much what Joel Davis does is in his little Telegram group, because that's what he's been reduced to. He will he will send his minions after me. For instance, when I put up a post, he'll tell them, "All right, guys, this is the post. This is what I'm go respond to him and this and that." So even in this instance, I believe it is something along the lines of when he's talking about rhetorically rape, as in like go after these people on these comments, like don't,
Which they're going to argue that is a form of harassment, which to a private person I think is true. It would be like if you told a group to go after some random private person because you didn't like their political view. I think that I think that's a problem. But when you're doing it to an elected official or a person in the media like us, we get I
accept it.
How many people do it to us? And how many people have ever been charged for that? How many people do it to, as much as I can't stand him anymore, Babette? How many people, I see it. I see people on the left doing it all the time. And how many times do the authorities go after people on the left, so the government's allies, for the exactly the same thing?
Yeah, but I think the issue here is, I think, Avi, like we talked about in the last show as well, this particular group, don't do themselves any favors, obviously. No. They want to be representatives of white Australia, right, very clearly with their ambitions and political ambitions as well. But, right now for them, it's more advantageous, to do these stunts, to be in the media like this, to be the ones who are fighting back. We're the only people that are doing it. Follow us. We're strong white men. We're going to stand up to the authorities. We're going to tell them exactly. We're going to go tell the Jewish lobby. We're going to tell these politicians. We're going to tell them, go rhetorically rape this politician, go after her. We're going to use tough language. So they put themselves there as the target, really. And sometimes with these authorities, and we talked about it last time as well. Left and right of politics. When I'm talking about serious politics in Australia, there's no sympathy for the Nazis whatsoever. There's no sympathy for this group. There's no, besides maybe John Ruddick and Mark Latham and these kind of individuals supporting them. So law enforcement, especially because they're under the pump as well, these are like easy targets for them.
Yep.
And they'll make an example out of it. And then what happens to the conservative movement, what happens to the right is, a lot of us spend all our time talking about the Nazis. And a lot of people spend their time defending this group. And then while you're doing that in a circular way, you get roped into the whole thing as well. And then what the left does is say, look at these guys. Look at all these people on the right. They're all just defending Nazis. They're all Nazis.
Yeah.
And that is essentially what is happening. It's been happening for almost a year, and it's getting more accelerated now. And every week now, these guys are in the news. The police are going after them. And like you mentioned last time as well, I'm bringing it up. They don't go after the Islamic terror type individuals. They don't go after the far left-wing violent people. They go after this group. And the right gets roped into this whole discussion, and everyone gets smeared with it. So it is what it is. I've just kind of accepted it for what it is, because this group clearly, their intention is to cause trouble, and their intention is to put themselves in jail and all these kind of things. They'll do almost anything for their cause. And it's up to people how they respond to it. So I've been calling it out, obviously. A lot of other people on the right have been defending it bizarrely in a weird way on the principles of free speech and things like this. I kind of get all those arguments, but I think it comes to a point where you have to say that this group is actually smearing everyone, making everyone look stupid as them. And are these the battles worth fighting? What do you think? Do you think these are the battles worth fighting for the right, for conservatives?
No, I think the position that we're taking is the sensible one. And I think on top of the point that you were making, they're also using it as a recruiting tool now. Like, it is having the exact opposite effect. These fringe groups are getting all the publicity because every time they're charged, every time they're arrested, so they're getting massive publicity. We're talking about it. Everybody talks about it. And then it attracts disenfranchised young, generally white men or boys. They love attracting young, often teenagers, to recruit them and to radicalize them. And this is the government actually helping these guys out. It's ridiculous over nothing, like over things that they're going to end up walking away after doing little time, if any, on a lot of these crimes. I think the times that you have to go after them is when they actually commit real crimes. I think that day that that Tom Sewell was arrested, so the day of March of Australia, there was multiple violent crimes, unprovoked violent crimes from that group. Boom, get them for that.
Yep.
But saying go and rhetorically rape a public whilst it's horrible, it is for the shock value. They talk like that. Just ignore them. If you're so offended by that, go on to the Twitter comments, go on to every post of mine. You'll be horrified in the comments below by what people say. They're just dumb words. They're not. You can't read that and say it's an incitement to violence. It's violent words, but it's like, and that's why they're taking the road for sure of saying that it's harassment. But I think that the bar is it's got to be a little bit higher than that for harassment. Like, there are people all the time that do that stuff on the left, from protected religious groups that'll do that. And no way police will go after him, and that only feeds into their narrative. Oh, you see, look at the people that keep getting. These are the people that the government's most afraid of. The government's not most afraid of them. Don't make that mistake. The government is not most afraid of the neo-Nazis. They are just easy targets. They make it easy.
Yeah.
The government manages to get political points off doing it. They get to claim, look at all these amazing things we're doing. Look how we're fighting these guys. They don't care. They're not scared of them. They know they're always going to be a fringe. They might break up the right wing, so it's only a bonus to the Labor government because it splits the what could have been a thriving right wing by then suddenly, like I said, in New South Wales, if they actually do, and they might have some success in New South Wales, there's clearly a market for it if the libertarians have any chance. Although, when I look at the libertarians page, it seems like their own followers are against all that kind of stuff, and that's why they've been turning around running. I think the libertarians are going to do, shockingly bad in the next election in New South Wales, and I think that I think they're stupid. Like if these guys actually get registered, my prediction is the stupidity of Ruddock is going to find its way, and not only Ruddock, but whoever's running New South Wales, because I think like Ruddock is actually following the people actually running it, and I feel like they're going to end up making a deal with these guys, which is just going to shoot themselves in the foot. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
I think we can move on to the next story, can't we?
Yeah.
We've got a couple of super chats. Wolfie says, "Hi Rukshan, any chance you can cover the Ryan Williams situation? Got done for terrorism charges for criticizing Islam and making videos. Thanks." I think this is the Aussie guy, the one with the bacon. He's the one with the bacon, right? That went.
Yeah.
That cost Freya
On Sky
Leach.
News, was it? On
Yeah. Freya's show. He's kind of funny. I'll be honest.
We can make a note of it for the next one.
Yeah, let's maybe touch base on let's good one. Yeah, Wolfie, we'll let's open next one with that, or at least include that in Tuesday's show, because it is a very interesting story. It is Australian related, but also tying it in to the UK. Paul Murray, thanks for coming back to the super chats. Should free speech be for all or regulated? I think free speech should be for all. Hold on. Sorry. If you're saying free speech for all and you're tying it to, I think for all citizens of Australia, you should free speech.
No, I don't think that's what he means. I think he's saying for all or regulated. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's what he means. It could mean a lot of different things the way the question is phrased.
Yeah, so I'm
could
just
mean for all things or regulated. Yeah.
I don't know if you're referring to somebody on a visa. No, I don't think it should be protected. I think if people come here from any extremist group, the only thing is I think that it should be consistent. And this is, we covered that deeply on the other show. Baz the Dark Horse, thank you for the super chat. Get Chris Ovaries back on. It was a great show.
Let's get him back on.
I'll get him back on. You message him if he wants to come back on. We'll have Chris Ovaries. We'll have Chris Ovaries back. We'll try to get him to admit he's a Nazi finally. Matty B from Australia saying, thank you for super chat. Seems far-fetched, but could you guys interview Jacinta Allen? Be interesting. Maybe I'll call the office with a Russian accent. I would do Chinese accent, and then she would definitely accept.
No chance. She just barely makes it onto our 3AW.
That's true.
With Tom Elliott.
I know. Lewis, thanks for another super chat, says, what do you think the average international student or immigrant new to Australia thinks of the neo-Nazis when they see them marching the streets? What is it? What did they say?
They do not give a crap. It's actually, this is a point that I've been making, Avi, that I've spoken to some immigrants and people that, have influence, but, they're involved in politics to some degree in terms of organizations talking about politics, and they love these Nazis. That's the way they've put it to me. They love them because they're like, and these are people that don't agree with my politics, obviously, but they're like, it's so easy, Rukshan, that we have this, this is the way they said it to me. Don't get offended. This is literally this is the way that someone said it to me. They said these white people in this country are so stupid, even in their opposition to, the immigration or whatever it is, the best that they could manage were these Nazis. And, everything that they're doing has been reduced to these Nazis. So for them, it's like, this is great because now everyone's a racist. All these white Australians are just all racist. And that is their fallback because people are like, we're sorry for you guys. We're sorry for the racism, sorry for what these white people are doing. So in that context, the ones who are paying attention, they see it like this. A lot of people just laughing about it and just thinking again, these dumb racists. And most international students, they don't even know that these things are going on because they're too busy working. A lot of them have multiple jobs. They work in early hours of the morning cleaning, and then they'll do Uber during the day. So a lot of them don't really understand it in that sense. The ones that you see online speaking back and making comments, they're either from India or overseas, or they're just ones who are kind of politically engaged and stirring the pot. So a lot of them have no idea, Ravi, that this is even a major discussion or there's some sort of threat to them in Australia from this group. That's the honest reality. And the ones that do know, they find it quite hilarious that this is what the response of Australia is to immigration. And they're like, okay, whatever.
Do you know what the funniest part of that whole little rant you had? The retelling of that story is I can't wait for somebody to clip it from after you saying don't get offended.
Yeah.
Where you're
well, I'm just saying I was offended. I was offended because I know that's not true. Like that offends me because I know that's not true. Like the people that were at those marches are not Nazis, but they're like, they know that too, but they're like, it doesn't matter because they are Nazis in for their particular purpose. And their particular purpose is that they don't want what we're talking about, Avi. Like they don't agree with my politics. They don't think my ideas are good when I talk about stopping immigration and they don't want those. They don't want those things. They don't want to integrate with Australian society in that way. They think that their way is good. They think that having their communities being uplifted in Australia, and those grievances are also again. They're not worried, like they have grievances against other ethnic groups in Australia, if that makes sense. Sometimes we see that on our street. Like they're not thinking about Australia and their future in Australia the same way that we're kind of worried about and concerned about what's happening. So that's why I talk a lot about this issue, Avi, because I'm concerned about seeing this trend becoming more and more normal. And also these kind of immigrants who are more politically aware becoming more radicalized as well against Australia. And it's problematic, and they know that there's just a same way that we know that it's not a good look optically. They understand the value of pushing that optical, by painting people in that way. They understand the benefits they get from that. So it's very kind of, the overriding Marxist or left wing ideology of just portraying the entire right as Nazis. Like they get the value in doing that. So. It is what it is, guys. I'm just telling you the truth as it is. A lot of immigrants won't tell you this, but in the back rooms, this is how some immigrants think, and this is what they're saying. And they definitely do think that these white Nazis are idiots, and it suits their purpose.
Yeah, and there is some truth to that part of the comment. Let's change gears.
US Congress has requested Australia's eSafety boss give evidence before a judicial committee into how foreign laws censor speech in the US. In an extraordinary letter obtained by Sky News, Julie Inman-Grant is accused of being a zealot and directly threatening American speech.
Julie Inman-Grant has been given 2 weeks to appear before US Congress to give evidence about how Australia's laws are threatening the free speech of American citizens. A letter from the House of Representatives Committee of the Judiciary, signed by Chairman, Republican Congressman and close Trump ally Jim Jordan, claims the US-born eSafety Commissioner's expansive interpretation and enforcement of Australia's Online Safety Act directly threatens American speech. The letter accuses Ms. Inman-Grant of being a noted zealot for global takedowns and cites her attempt last year to compel X to remove content globally. X-founder Elon Musk called her the censorship commissar. The letter from Congress also accuses the eSafety boss of working with US-based organizations and universities to facilitate and encourage cooperation with foreign censorship regimes. It singles out Stanford University. While Julie Inman-Grant is not legally obligated to appear before US Congress, a spokesman for the US House of Representatives Committee told us if there is nothing to hide, then she should voluntarily appear. Ms. Inman Grant has been given a deadline of December 2 to give evidence. An eSafety spokesperson denies the act requires global removals, saying geo-blocking is considered reasonable. There's nothing we're doing that prevents American companies from displaying whatever they want to Americans. Caroline Marcus, Sky News.
It's so funny, her backtracking and all that as well, because she actually went to court to defend her position and lost in an Australian court. So she clearly, even in the eyes of the Australian judiciary, is overstepping. But it is such a funny story. And isn't she quitting now anyways? She's quitting.
Well, she said that her tenure is up in 2 years or something like this.
Oh, so she's still got another 2 years.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact date. It was 2027 or 2028 at some point where it's up in the air. But she's probably got some sort of cushy job lined up with all the connections that she's been making since the World Economic Forum and even before that, right? But look, I find it fascinating. I would love to see her before Congress. I would love to see Jim Jordan question her, as we've seen him question many of those dodgy Democrats and other nefarious characters in the US. Famously, Anthony Fauci as well. There's been some great exchanges. So I would love nothing more than Julie Imam Grant, our e-current, to be sitting there in front of one of those committees in Congress being grilled. Because we've had a glimpse of that in Australia. We had Malcolm Roberts and a few others. I think Senator Antic asked us a few questions. But I think Congressman, what was his name? Jim Jordan. I forgot his name now. Jim Jordan. Yeah, he's got a point, because Australia's, the way that the whole system's set up, and the fact beyond that Julie Imam Grant has taken part in American programs as well and other international programs, and they've all discussed this little censorship thing that they're doing all together, and they've all coordinated within it. I think that raises, really profound questions around what is this thing that they're building out. I think it was, is it Michael Schellenberger? He uncovered some emails and some references to Julie Imam Grant discussing American politics and complaining about Donald Trump. And so she's very much aware of the impact that social media has. And she's been talking about this for ages, even when she was at Twitter, around online safety and controlling speech. But what she has found now is the ultimate system. She has the awesome power of the Australian government behind her to implement this global censorship program that she's always wanted against these platforms. And she can say all she likes, that it's just geo-blocking. But no, at the end of the day, she's trying to change speech behaviors. She's trying to implement, certain restrictions on those companies and their operations. And I think it's well within America's rights to throw their power around in this space, because America is a country that focuses very heavily on free speech. And to think that their companies are being, told what to do in the sense by this upstart bureaucrat from Australia, challenge them. And that was one of the great shames, I think, when Albanese was there with Donald Trump, that he didn't bring this up, because we have seen Donald Trump bring up issues around free speech with Keir Starmer and even Carney, I believe. So, Australia is at the forefront of it. And Julie Imam Grant is the censorship star of the world. And she would very likely, if she could, enforce further restrictions on people outside of Australia, even though she's toying with our system right now. So I think she should be questioned.
She would love world domination. She said it before. She goes to the World Economic Forum every year. Yeah. She's never denied it till now. I think Rick put in the comments, We Forum Stories, authors Julian and Grant. You can probably just look that up in the comments. It's come up on the site on Facebook. She's an unelected, everybody knows, she's an unelected, power-hungry tyrant, wannabe tyrant, who has wielded a lot of power, tried to expand on it by making it a global power. Thank goodness we had Elon Musk to push back. He pushed back, and she lost. And now the Americans, while we have a Trump administration which is very focused on freedom of speech, want to ensure that they protect those freedoms for Americans, but it'll be doing us a favor too, to be fair. So I fully support it. I think that whatever help we can get from America, even if they're not doing it for us, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it because I want Americans, I want everyone to be able to access information freely. Like doesn't it seem like we're in like China or North Korea? Like we have this, great wall around us now, the great internet firewall or something like this, where everything's like controlled. Like it feels like really icky and yuck. Like really, like this lady's like really pushing for that, and it's just some people are saying she should be deported. Maybe we can tell her to go back to where she came from, Avi, without getting in trouble.
Are you allowed to say go back to where you came from if she's?
I think technically you're allowed to say because she's white. Technically,
so it just exposes we can't
get in trouble. Technically, we can't get in trouble for telling her to go back because of our skin complexions. So I think we're okay. I don't think the racial discrimination.
Julian Grant, go back to where you came from. And the funniest thing is, she would have to come back as a refugee because Trump is locking her up for sure.
100%. Trump is putting us straight into the gulags.
Put your hand up, guys, in the comments if you think Julian Grant should be deported, and let America have her back. It's not our fault. She shouldn't be our problem. Let us know if she is. She should just be deported. Leave her back in America, and she can't complain. At least there she'll have. She has the First Amendment, so her freedom of speech is protected. Something that she should go to
China. She'll be an expert. They'll put her on one of these programs.
I know if she don't. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. She should.
She loves censorship. Like she will have the ultimate censorship power. Julie Imam Grant, Karen, go to China, get a job in China. Control the speech of people. They're the government. The CCP will support you. This is what they love to do. You'll have ultimate control over those people's lives.
Eric says, will Rebel News be covering it, Avi? What are we talking about? What were we referring to? Was there an event or something? When you give us super chats...
This hearing, maybe.
Just when you put it, guys, just let us know, because sometimes these super chats, we're obviously reading it in the natural break, and so I forget. I don't see exactly what you're referring to. Maddie B from Australia, so thanks for another super chat, says, is the Oz social ban going to the High Court? I believe it is, or I don't actually know if it is.
Is this Radix Group, the digital?
They say they're trying to. I don't know if it will. And to be fair, I don't have that much faith in it being successful. But yeah, I hope that Radic does it and is successful. If I had to bet, I'd say that if it happens, it's probably going to fall. That's the thing. The government, when they have this much power, when they win an election and have the, that they don't really have anyone to oppose any idea that they have, in the, whether it's a lower house or upper house, there's no real opposition. So they can get through anything, and so when they pass a law, they're going to pass it, and sure, the argument is going to be it's unconstitutional, so it goes against the Constitution. I think it's going to fall.
Specifically the social media ban.
Yeah,
because I think there is also still that bipartisan support for it as well. Like it would have to be changed.
Well, the argument is going to be that it's. I think that it's a protected. The problem is in Australia we don't have a Bill of Rights, so we don't actually have a right to freedom of speech. What we have is an implied right to political communication, and that's what everyone always tries to fight on. But that implied right is very hard to convince a judge applies to anything. So if you remember in COVID, it was tested a number of times for people's right to protest during the pandemic. And the powers, the emergency powers overrode according to pretty much every jurisdiction. I don't know if we ever got to the High Court on it, but we got to Supreme and Appeals Court for sure a number of times.
You're sleepy.
Oh, that just hit me. Peter Wilson says, Avi, are you still in contact with Aussie Kotzak? No, not really. I
Did you hear the latest news?
Yeah, apparently. So he's having. It's so predictable. Aussie Cossack is fighting with people that have to be around him. Yes, it makes sense. Look, to me, the whole thing's all a bit gross. You know, he should have never been charged. And I said this back then. He shouldn't have been charged for, no matter how obnoxious he was. It was clear the other guy hit him. But I think Cossack was also playing a game at the time that he wanted to be in the consulate, wanted to be Julian Assange. He just, he called himself on. I remember I was mocking him at the time. Like, he started calling himself Julian Assange of Australia. And I saw, funnily enough, the other day on the rolling headlines, they were referring to. They said that I can't remember the term that they used, but he's like, basically that he's referred to as Australia's Julian Assange. I'm like, referred to by who? By literally Cossack. Like,
look, I have a soft spot for him, the Aussie Cossack. I have a soft spot for him, and he's always been good to us, or at least me in person, and I believe you as well. So I have a soft spot for Aussie Cossack, but I think he should be deported once he comes out, whatever happens. Hasn't he pledged fealty to Russia and gotten a Russian passport and things? So I mean, no, I'm not saying this with any ill intent, but he should be sent back to Russia. I think that's the appropriate thing to have been done in this instance, and I think that'll save us a lot of time. Don't worry about the court case and things like this. He spent a lot of time in there. He would have spent even less time, even if he was charged with that particular incident. And he wants to go to Russia, so.
He does want to. He's always said he says he wants to go to Russia. So I don't think Australia should stop him.
Send him back to the Cossacks, and let him be free. Free the Aussie Cossack. It's been funny watching a few people in New South Wales Parliament speaking for the Aussie Cossack. It's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it is self-inflicted as well.
100%. So
this is like self-inflicted.
I mocked him in the beginning. I thought it was outrageous, but I was still mocking him for calling himself Australia's Julian Assange. But 2 years later, nobody really cares about his plight, to be fair, besides that, small group of fanatical supporters that he has. He hasn't blown up into big Julian Assange story where people are protesting for his freedom. No one really cares. I think he should be released. I think he should be free to get on a plane and go to Russia. He doesn't hide the fact that he cares about Russia, that Russia is his entire shtick. So, and the thing is, Russia is not our ally. So they should let him leave and promise him safe passage to the airport.
Yeah.
And they won't charge him, they won't arrest him. Like, the thing is, even if he
it's just cheaper for us. It's just cheaper.
Oh yeah. But even if they the thing is, he was doing it all as a stunt at the time. Cossack's entire COVID period, it was just like stunt after stunt after stunt. And going into the consulate was a stunt. Now the stunt's gotten tiring for him. He's about to have a kid and he wants to get him baptized apparently. And they're not letting him baptize it in the thing because he's having a personal beef with the local Russian representation.
It could be a Hallmark movie, guys. It could be a Hallmark movie.
He would love nothing less than a movie about himself.
Netflix special, The Cossack.
Yeah. Look, I don't have much more sympathy for him. I think that Cossack became... he always was. Like, he was... and I respected that. He was unapologetically pro-Russian because that's what he cared about. No matter where that sits with Australia's worldview. And that's whatever. He can do that. But when I watched how, he was so willing to... I remember in the beginning of that war, he was just like trying to get us to be pro-Russian, share stuff that was Russian. We had him on, we challenged him. Remember in the beginning of this podcast, we were challenging him about it, not like in a friendly way.
He came to the studio, yeah.
Yeah, remember? And we were like putting the talking points of the other side to him.
Yeah.
And like he was answering, it was fine, whatever. But it wasn't in a confrontational or harsh. It was in a friendly kind of way. This guy, when Gaza and Israel kicked off, he immediately, whatever Russia said, he just jumped on board the Syrian girl and started posting the most horrific things against Jews and I was like, bro, you know what? I find it funny because you were begging everyone for support, propaganda support at the beginning of your war. And then when it happened to somebody else that you considered a friend, you immediately just audience captured and joined in on whatever you thought was going to... And for him, the funny thing is he doesn't care about Israel. He doesn't care about that conflict at all. He cares about how to progress the Russian plight. That's it. That's how he looks at everything. And once you realize that with Cossack, and he won't deny it, he's pretty honest about it. He's pretty straight up about it. He'll literally do anything to progress the Kremlin's perspective. But it's funny to me that the local Russian diplomats clearly hate him. They're probably sick of his shtick.
We should get him back on. We should have him back on.
I'll have him back on.
We should have the Aussie Cossack back on, a special edition.
I would have him back on. He was always the thing that was funny with Cossack is he was fun to hang around. Back when he would drive us nuts to hang around us in Sydney. Were you there?
Sydney was fun. Even in Melbourne when he came, I remember.
And he comes and it's like he's just over the top, and he's loud and obnoxious, in public. But it's funny, and he's a funny character, and he's good to have a laugh and a drink with. But politically, I think he's just one-track minded. So it's just he's not good for Australia.
Well, Avi, I'm just reading the comments. People are saying that you're a hypocrite, and that you should also be deported, like the Aussie Cossack, to Israel, because you guys are very similar, apparently.
Very
Even
similar.
me, apparently, I'm very similar to the Aussie Cossack, but people are saying very adamantly that I should call you out. Look, there is some legitimacy what people are saying. I do see similarities. I do see you hiding out in the Israeli embassy. I see a possibility of Avi hiding out in the Israeli embassy.
Look, a defining difference immediately off the bat is that he's fighting for what is really an enemy state. He's fighting for the Russians, for the commies. Whereas Israel, even if you think that I put Israel first, which I don't, but even if you think I do, they're an ally. They're a Western democratic ally. Russia is not our friend. Russia is literally, they are the Axis, part of the Axis, or one of the leaders in the Axis of evil. But no, I won't. To be honest, in Australia, I'll fight for Australia till the end. But Cossack won't even tell you that. You got to give Cossack at least that he's honest about his motivation in everything, and it is just Russia. And you know what? Good on him. And that's why I think we should set him free and let him go there, because what's he going to get charged under? He's getting charged under for pushing that guy, and he'll probably get off it. That's the thing. If Cossack actually didn't play that little stunt and go to the embassy, he would have been out in no time, because
it would have been nothing.
It was such a ridiculous offence. If you watch the video, he would have got off on self-defence. He would have got off. He would have had to stay until in remand if they wanted to hold him, because I think he just came out. Was he on bail? So they would have held him on remand till the hearing, but he would have been way out by now. He could probably be back in court right now suing him for false imprisonment. But instead, he wanted to be Julian Assange. He's not enjoying being Julian Assange now. Peter Wilson says...
That's what you read.
Ah, there we go. We're just loving Aussie Cossack. Harry Holzer says, did you guys see the fight in South Bank in the restaurant in Melbourne? What did you make of it, and was it Lebanese guys or what? I don't know what we're talking about.
I didn't see that one.
You did or you didn't?
I didn't know. It was a couple of days ago. Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but there's a brawl in a restaurant. 7 News Melbourne covered it.
Maybe we'll pull it up for next time. Have a look at it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harry. Oliver says, Avi was wondering if you were a fan and liked Andrew Tate back in 2022 before he went all anti-Israel rant, and he was more about men's right, anti-fem. So where I stood with Tate is when it was all about the the anti-feminism, the men's rights stuff, and it was at a time that was particularly close to my heart because I was going through a lot of it. He was definitely identifying the problem. Early on, I didn't appreciate his solutions. I thought his solutions were over the top, but I thought he was a bit more of it's a showman. The point in which I thought Tate was a complete phony is when he converted, because I knew that he knew nothing about what he was doing. I knew what he was doing was... Jesus, that's one long comment. Somebody's eaten the whole... We might have to kick this person on if... how did you get such a long comment? Mate, stop using ChatGPT. So the answer is when I supported Tate's recognition of a major problem at that time. His solutions I was never really a fan of, or most of his solutions. Some of them were right, but most of the solutions were not real solutions. And then when he converted to Islam, that for me was already, all right, mate. And not because he converted, but because I knew that it was inauthentic. He was doing it for clout, for following, for whatever, a bunch of stuff. And then that went on to his whole, the natural progression of that was the anti-Israel, anti-Jew stuff, whatever. But he became less relevant now.
Yeah.
What?
No, that's right. We talked about it last episode as well.
Yeah, was it Oliver that brought it up last time? Oh, sorry. There we go. I've brought Oliver up again. Not sure how we keep getting onto that. Ethan says, Avi, I don't like Aussie Cossack since he is extremely pro-Putin, wants Russia to take over all of Ukraine, is a public nuisance. You're not. I don't see any similarities between you two. You're pro-West. Thank you, Ethan.
Wow, this looks like your alt account.
Listen, the only way you know that's not actually me that wrote that is that they put $10 in. Thank you for the super chat, Ethan. I agree. Look, I can understand when you're looking specifically at the point of going, oh, well, all you care about is Russia. And if that's the allegation. And so if that's the problem on its own, then you could make the same argument to me. That's fair. Fine. Accepted. But for the reasons that Ethan says here, that's what I think the big point of difference is you can't, and there's so many inconsistencies with Cossack's arguments. Like when you look at his political commentary, and he's like so pro-Putin, thinks that they should wipe out, mocks the Ukrainians when they go on, and then pretends to care about the Gazans. Pretends to care, like it's just, it all conflicts. And the only reason, like if Putin came out in support of Israel blankantly, the next day Aussie Cossack would be pro, like it's just based on he cannot critically think for himself at all. And I'm not like that. Like I will not follow Netanyahu blindly. I will not follow any leader blindly. Yes, I support Israel. I support Israel's right to exist. In fact, I also support Russia. Like, I understand the nuance in that conflict as well. Like, I don't blindly support Ukraine. But I do think that out of the two of them, if there is an oppressed and oppressor, if you're going to look at it from that perspective, which is what Cossack does when it comes to Israel-Palestine, it's like, okay, well, Russia in that case is for sure the oppressor. Do they have legitimate grievances with Ukraine or with NATO or with that? Sure. does it justify anything like the invasion? Absolutely not. And yeah, and it's just, the thing is, Russia's not our friend. Never have been, never will be. They're not our friends. That doesn't mean there aren't good Russians. It doesn't mean, I think Kozak on a personal level is a funny guy. And he is kind of fun to hang out with. He'll do your head in if he has your number for too long. I blocked him. I literally blocked it. I blocked his number. I'm going to say it.
That's why he was reaching out to me to try to get in touch with you once.
Bro, he was like, this is the thing, like Kozak would do a stunt and message me straight away to tell me, I've done this stunt. You should do a story on it. And sometimes I was like, probably 80% of the time I was like, that ain't. But then sometimes they were funny, or sometimes they were genuinely good stories. Like, even though I knew he was doing everything for the story, sometimes it actually landed. Like, it was a good story, and we did a few stories on him, especially through COVID. But when he was trying, what was he trying to do? Like, he was trying to get me to come on his show, and he was trying to get me to debate Syrian Girl, and he would be the moderator, and he was just like relentless. I was like, bro, I'm done. I'm out. Block. Out of my life.
I'm going to invite him. I'm inviting him back, guys. Into the
we
show
can have
at
him
some
on
point.
this show because it'll bring us the views.
Bring him on.
Just the fight that we can have here. What do you reckon, guys? Should we bring Kozak on for bands?
We'll do a special Aussie Kozak and Chris Overees.
Have them both on. Should we have them together?
That'll be funny.
Eric Chilver says, is Mark Spiegelman quitting the LNP? Yeah, so that was breaking. Oh, I don't know if he's quitting the LNP, but
Well, there's a spill tomorrow, right? I think,
he's quit his position.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a new leader, and it's going to be female. And it's funny because I was actually watching the press conference just as we went live here, and it seems, because I'm not so connected into the New South Wales Liberal Party and understanding their politics, but it seemed from his speech that he was actually the lefty, and she, who's going to take over, is a conservative. Maybe the comments could let us know, somebody from New South Wales. But I believe just watching his press conference, it seems like he was woke and they want to go more conservative. That's the way I read it. But it'll be a good. Anyone who knows in the comments, let us know. Maybe we'll bring it up. Maddie B says, Avi, you're incredible. Great Australian people don't want to know the truth. I love you to all those out there today spending the big bucks on, holy crap, what's this charge for $7.99 on my credit card? Thanks for the support. Okay. Wolfie says, the Ryan Williams situation is gaining traction. He's already met with Tommy Robinson, and TPUSA has been banned from traveling with Virgin Airlines. Yeah, sorry. We'll cover it next episode. Cool. Daniel, remember.
Thanks, Wolfie.
Zal Hassan says, Ukraine neo-Nazi corrupt regime, why would support? So that's the Putin talking point. There definitely are Ukrainian Nazi and I spoke out about that. Nazi regiments within the army. So, and that was my big problem, is that they allowed them to be a part of the official fighting force and for years, not just now, the Azov battalion. But having said that, to claim that that the regime is a Nazi corrupt regime is just false. So Nazi regime, no. Corrupt, sure. And that's true. There's one of the most corrupt regimes in the world. Having said that, do you know who's more corrupt than Ukrainian regime? The Russian regime. So what are you talking about? Anyways, Paul says Andrew Wilson versus Daniel Yasin. I can never pronounce that guy's last name. Debate where Andrew claims Muslim countries are significantly lower IQ because of first cousin marriage. Did you see? I saw bits of that debate, which was just. It was kind of just funny. It didn't feel like a serious debate.
There's a lot of this going on at the moment. I've seen online, and even in Darebin, in Michigan. I don't know if you've seen all that as well.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
So like openly being spoken about now, and
about what the IQ thing?
No, just
cousin?
IQ, cousin marriage, a lot of things which previously people may have not said anything about. I know in Darebin they're trying to burn the Quran and do all these stuff as well. And those guys, they did the same thing. They went to that town with, I think, bacon on them as well. So in terms of this debate that's going on, it has taken on a different element, right? It is. I do feel like it's gotten more intense.
The debate between Christians and Muslims.
Well, at least in America and in parts of Europe.
But it's even funny seeing how that's playing out, because the woke right are so like the real woke right are so obsessed with the Jew and Israel stuff that they're actually now, and these are people that 5 years ago, 6 years ago were fully on board with a lot of this stuff, are now simping for like radical jihadis. It's like funny to watch. Even Darebin, you mentioned that. Like you see Jake Shields in that. He's fully going in defense of the Darebin.
Well, they're saying the guy's a Jew.
Dearborn. Frank, whatever. Frank, whatever his name. He's not a Jew.
But they just say that's all
they need to say. He's a Jew, so you can dismiss what he's saying. And it's like, bro, the thing with these guys they hate Jews more than they love their own countries. Because if you're willing to sacrifice your own country by allowing it to be invaded and taken over by an ideology that sets out to take over, then clearly you hate the people you're trying to redirect the hate at. The blame for everything. And the thing is, like, they even blame the Jews for any of the wrong that goes from that, even though that group that they're defending also hates the Jews. It's like, it's so crazy. The mental gymnastics that's going on right now.
Well, it's all very messy, and there is a lot of provocation. It's probably a good way to put it. There's a lot of provocation happening now in terms of how these debates are taking place. So I haven't seen it this way, is what I'm trying to say, when it comes to these debates. And it's become very religious. You have people in the Darebin Council, for instance, shouting Christ is king, having said all these things about Muslims, for instance. So do you think there's an element of this that...
Yeah.
Well, it kind of, all this infighting that we're seeing on the right, do you think there's an element of this where the establishment is really pushing for this kind of race war type religious war in America leading up to the midterms or maybe the next election? Like, I feel like that's where it's going. It used to be about, George Floyd and African Americans and white Americans and things like this. It has more so become now this intensity between, white Americans and immigrants, or white Americans in Darebin, for instance, right now, Christians versus Muslims. Do you think this is going to be like the next thing that is exploited by governments or establishment types?
I don't know. Yeah, it's at the moment it's super hard for me to predict what the political discourse is heading, because it's been really confusing. Even this single situation, you've got people like Andrew, whatever his name is, who just debated that other guy, who is like a champion of many of those woke right people. I see him all the time sharing his stuff, but it's going to become taboo in their circles to debate the Muslims yet. So I don't know who's going to put themselves where, and whether the political class, when it comes to elections, are going to try exploit it. Of course they will if they think there's votes in it. And it's clear when you look at those videos from Dearborn, is that the Islamic community cursing out Trump, which is also weird. I guess not weird as to why the woke right would also be happy to join him, because they hate Trump now.
Well, I think that area voted for Trump. From what I've read online, a lot of that area actually voted for Trump.
Because the thing is with Muslims, like
that was before the whole
Well,
got out of place.
Before which one?
No, I'm saying that was before like a lot of the what was I going to say? The pro-Palestinian movement really took hold in America.
That's what's funny to me, is that they didn't even like, it was so obvious what Trump was gonna do. Trump was literally at every campaign, starting with moments of silence, minutes of silence for the hostages, and like all this kind of stuff. And it was weird to me that none of them, like, they just ignored that stuff. Like, when Trump's gonna get in, he's just not gonna do what he said he's gonna do. And then now that's what's really upset him, is that Trump actually followed through on his commitments prior to during the campaign. Even back then, because I remember thinking, and you know what, I actually blame the Democrats for that, because what I think it was, their marketing was really effective, where they called Joe Biden Genocide Joe for 2 years, like that, or a year from because what was it, November 24. So for a year they spent a year basically branding Joe Biden as Genocide Joe, which then I reckon that's why so many Muslims, besides the fact that they are generally more conservative, but on the Israel issue, which was probably the number one issue for many of these communities, is that they just thought, they're calling him Genocide Joe. They're making it out like Biden is the worst thing for Palestinians, although he was the worst thing for Israel. So if they would have won, if the Democrats would have won, the Middle East would look completely different right now. But they got fooled by the branding, the marketing of the Democrats, whilst at the same time, Trump was like, no more wars, I'm going to end every war. But when people pushed him, like I remember at UFC, when one of the Muslim fighters were like, fight, end the war. He's like, yeah, I'm going to end. And then, but he always said, I'm going to end everything through strength. We must defeat Hamas. Like, he's always said that kind of stuff. But it's like they took the Genocide Joe part and ignored the part of Trump saying, I'm gonna finish this by finishing Hamas.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's read these last. Amanda, there's a few trolls like in the chats that think that they're getting to me. What was this one? Sorry. And I think they're funny. They're literally here. What was it? There was one. I just got to read this one out because they deserve it. Because they think I hate it. Oh, where was it? I must have gone back a bit. They're saying they're just here because they're here to troll me. Good on you. As long as you're commenting, I'm happy. Noah says, thanks for another super chat, mate. Is Russia still communist, or did that end when the Soviet Union fell? Because I hear people say communist China, but never hear communist Russia. Is Russia technically communist now? Are they not communist?
No, historically communist. They behave like.
But he was an old KGB guy. I'd say he's still a commie. Russia is officially a federal semi-presidential republic. Politically, it is an authoritarian nationalist oligarchic. Is that how you pronounce that? Oligarchic state, not a communist one. But he is
he's molded in that fashion.
That's the thing. He is a commie, and it's not technically a communist state. What would make it Communist state is a Marxist-Leninist ruling party. State ownership of all major industries. No significant private property. So how it differs is they have private business, including billionaires and oligarchs. Its economy is market-driven, despite government control of key sectors like energy. That's what, like, I was thinking. There is a lot of state ownership there. Political ideology is based on
at the end of it all, like Putin still calls the shots. That's the thing. So it is, more authoritarian dictatorship. Like it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are there. Literally, any CEO, any boss can end up falling out of a balcony. Like literally, that's what will happen to you in Russia.
Why people? Russia. Communism fell in 1991. The Communist Party still exists, but it's an opposition party and not in power. The Russian government still controls industries, but that's state capitalism, not communism. So it's definitely not a communist state, but I'd say old Putin is very sympathetic to the USSR, which was communist. Lucas, thanks for another super chat. Even if Ukraine has some neo-Nazis, that doesn't mean you should support Russia. At the end of the day, Russia is a dictatorship and anti-freedom, right? Exactly. So, you know, I guess we throw the term commie around more than we needed, but it definitely is a form of dictatorship and definitely anti-freedom. Like, you can't go to Russia and say what you want. You can't really vote. Like, Ukraine is at least meant to be, in theory, a free democratic society, a Western democratic society. They definitely have their flaws. They are certainly corrupt. There are some Nazis. And if you're going to say there are some Nazis in Ukraine, there are also some Nazis in Russia. The thing is, Russia has a much more complicated relationship with the Nazis because, you know, that's their whole pride and joy, is that they defeated the Nazis. But for them, it's like their pride is the commies. So what? They killed more people. It's like they're no better. Anyways. Dylan says, thank you for the super chat. Why can't Hollywood be like it was in the early 2000s? No wokeness, yet Hollywood was still diverse, but there was no forced diversity back then. Look, I think you can apply that to many, many parts of our society.
It is changing a little bit now. I think Hollywood is changing a little bit.
It's true.
Because you do get these younger filmmakers now coming through. And you also have to know the whole system's being uprooted as well. So you are getting different types of entertainment. Still the main blockbuster style things that are, you know, heading into the cinemas, and people are getting what's the word? Not brainwashed through. Like things like Wicked. I don't know if you've seen Wicked 2 or Wicked. Some of these actors. Or what was the last one that they had? The Disney one, the Snow White, that lady. Do you remember her? That she was saying some crap about Snow. I can't remember.
And they got
I can't remember her name, but she got eviscerated for her comments. And it just, you know, toppled the whole Snow White thing. So consumers, people like us, you and me, we are having an influence in Hollywood in terms of changing their tune a little bit because people are rejecting a lot of that woke crap. So I think there is changes happening there. And it might go back to some of the sense and sensibility we saw in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s. Because, yeah, for a while there, it became very hard to watch movies, Avi. Like, it's very difficult. Even on Netflix now, in a way. I'm not saying Netflix is better. Even Netflix, it's kind of very hard to watch some movies. You know they've purposely made someone gay just for, like, making them gay for the show. Like,
you know,
it serves no story plot thing.
A few years ago, when I would watch a movie with my wife, or a show, and then I'd be like, pause it, and I go, do you see what they're doing there? She goes, just watch it. Just enjoy the show. Stop thinking everything's got a deeper... I'm like, dude, it's there. They're doing it.
Yeah.
How are you not noticing that? How are you not reading? That's how they're getting to the kids. They're subliminal messaging through these shows. Anyways, fast forward to today. She's straight on it now. She's the detective, the woke detector. She'll pause it and tell me, oh, do you see what they're doing there? Oh my God. She goes, why can't they just make a show so we can enjoy it? Why does entertainment have to be all political? I'm like, that's my girl. Yeah. Lucas also says, and also Ukraine is our ally, just like Israel is. Why can't we be pro both? People seem to think the right to be pro-Israel but anti-Ukraine. I agree with you, Lucas. I think that if you have to pick a side, okay, if you have to pick a side, I'm picking Ukraine. If you have to pick a side, because they are our ally and their worldview is, whilst not implemented perfectly, it is our worldview. It's what we want to see in the world. We want less Putins and we want more democracies. We want less dictatorships. We want more democracies, right? The difference when it comes to supporting the war effort in Ukraine to, let's say, in Israel, to me, is that Ukraine is never going to win. So it's a bottomless pit for the West to fund and to watch thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, never ending, marching to their death. I just don't see the value in that, because at the end of the day, if they keep this war going forever, until the West, are they going to just keep funding it until they run out of money? Like, everybody's funding it in debt. Everyone's going into debt to fund it. But let's say, I would say that there's still an argument that you could make that it is a moral right thing to do if at the end of it they could win. But there is no chance Ukraine can win that war. If they kept fighting forever and we kept funding it, at the end of the day, Ukraine is going to run out of people before Russia is. Way before. So I just think that there's you can make a different argument for supporting their war efforts. I still think that we should support, at least morally, I support Ukraine. I think a lot of mistakes were made. I don't think they should have ever given up their nukes, to be honest, and they wouldn't be in this situation. They shouldn't, and that's a lesson for Israel, is don't rely on the promises of Western leaders, because when push comes to shove, it depends, especially in the West and the public opinion, whether they're actually going to follow through on their commitments to back you. And that was the whole thing. The West promised to back Ukraine if it happened. And there were a lot of provocations from the Biden administration, all that, whatever. The point is, in theory, absolutely, yes, support Ukraine over Russia, especially because they were invaded, right? But I just don't think, I think the best way to support this, it's like when people ask me, who do you support? It's a different scenario, but who do you support, Israel or in a war, Israel or Australia? Who would you fight for? It's and that was the analogy I gave you, is if my kids are fighting, who am I going to support? I don't want to see either of them die. So what I support is de-escalation, figuring this out, getting an actual long-term solution for both groups. Yeah. But if you're asking me in this case, because this is not two countries I view equally, absolutely, I will always side with Ukraine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean Ukraine doesn't do anything wrong. That doesn't mean Israel doesn't do anything wrong. That doesn't mean Australia doesn't do anything wrong. The governments of our respective countries in the West make wrong decisions. And the perfect example you can always go back to is COVID. They made I don't know about Ukraine, I don't know what Ukraine did, but certainly Israel, certainly Australia, disgusting behaviours by governments that you can condemn. But I still support both those countries. I didn't turn anti-Australian because the government in Australia implemented crazy COVID rules. Same with Israel. Same with Ukraine. I don't know what Ukraine, I have no idea what they did in COVID. I can't imagine. I imagine if you had $10 America in your pocket, you can do nothing you want. Equity says, I've come to realize that Christianity is the only thing standing between us and an Islamic planet. That's a fact. Great show, boys. Cheers. I do agree with that, because at the end of the day, Christianity is literally... How many Christians are there in the world?
Is it 7? Exactly, I'll tell you. Christians, and I'm typing it to exactly 2.3 billion.
Your search is faster. 2.3 billion, and then there's about 2 billion. There's something similar in Muslim.
Well, Islam is definitely going to take over in terms of.
All I'm saying is you've got it is.
Look, I would say it's 2 billion Muslims. I would say it's like I kind of agree with that. I think in the West it's important, especially like countries like Australia and America, to go back to some of these foundational roots of these nations, and find religion again. It has become very unpopular, Avi, and when you match that up with the birth rates, and also the younger generations who aren't really religiously observant. Yes, we've seen a little bit of a shift last couple of months post Charlie Kirk and everything that happened there. But realistically speaking, for these Western nations to be grounded again in their historical, Judeo-Christian values, the underpinnings of these societies, I think there needs to be a revival. And it is coming from the evangelical churches, I think. And more aligned the new churches, the born again style churches, that you're seeing a lot of outreach towards young people, whereas more of the Catholic element of the traditional churches, they struggle more with the younger generation. But I think there definitely does need to be a revival, because Islam in itself, and again, I'm not saying it's slight Islam or Muslims or anything like this, but by its very nature, it is a dominant religion. It is a faith of dominance, of conquest, and of course conversion as well.
Yeah,
like there is an element of converting people over. Like they strictly believe in they're very ardent, fanatical in a way when it comes to their beliefs, and they want everyone to be a part of that belief system.
Yep.
And they will achieve that in different ways. And if you don't have a prevailing dominant religious backbone in the West, and in this case Christianity, it will get overrun. Just naturally, it will get overrun. And then look at Africa right now. When you look at someone like Nigeria, it's not really happening naturally because it's being forced upon the people by warfare. But in the West, they don't even have to conduct warfare to convert people over, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't have to convert people over to have a dominant religion in the West. You are seeing, in the UK, I think Tommy Robinson's covered this as well, a lot of churches being converted into mosques. Same things happening in Australia and Canada and America. A lot of these churches that people used to attend, families used to attend, communities used to attend, are now being converted into mosques. Again, I'm not saying any of this to slight people of the Islamic faith or Muslims or anything like this, but this is the reality of what's happening. And I agree with Equity. In that vein, if the West wants to maintain its identity and its dominance as a cultural group, then for sure, Christianity, I believe, plays a massive part in that, and a massive role in, setting the moral and ethical foundations of what
the reason why I looked at the numbers, and I think the numbers matter, is because they are at least an equal force in sheer in sheer numbers.
Yeah, but where are those billions of Christians now? Okay, where are they situated? I would argue not in the West. They're situated in places like in Latin America.
Sure,
in Brazil.
But I think I think the only people standing between with those numbers for the world not to completely, because the way it works is, if you just look at the Middle East, they dominate, and then like what's happening in Nigeria at the moment, and then they take over, and country by country, that's what tends to happen. But there's going to be a point in which Christians as a whole, as an international community, realize that. The question is it going to be too late? Like, they realized it before historically, and that's, I think, where you got the Crusaders for.
It's too late. I say this as a Catholic and a Christian. and someone that goes to church every Sunday and listens to Christian rock. That's on my playlist, guys. That's all I listen to. I would say we've pretty much lost in many ways, and in the West, unfortunately, we have really lost. It's only now we've seen that small revival, but I don't know if that's enough, Avi.
I feel like there is. I think the revival. I think the revival you're seeing is potentially that's what's going to happen. I feel like there is going to be. I don't like the kind of revival that you're seeing now. I question. I don't know where it's coming from. A lot of it's, I think, manufactured, but I think in time the only way they can defeat it, defeat the essential invasion of all these countries is Christianity. But I think you're right. Like, I feel like you're probably right, and a lot of countries are going to fall to Islamic rule at some point. Like, even Australia, like, if you look at the numbers in 100 years, like, the only thing here, maybe if you get enough Indians in and other minorities instead to just counter it, but otherwise you're going to fall to Islamic birth rates, for example, compared to Anglo birth rates. Like, they're probably the largest birth rates in Australia at the moment is your Islamic community, I imagine.
Yeah, Islamic, Indian, Hindu. Some Hindu families have large families, or
some,
but
not in all. Islamic communities, it's
it's very much the norm.
The average family size is probably double the typical Australian average family. Jews also have more kids, probably, but although that's just Orthodox Jews. But the thing is, they're just such a tiny, inconsequential minority.
Well, you don't really want people to convert over, like
you don't evangelize. What's it called? Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, you're not really doing that. And Christianity is about spreading the word of God, the gospel of the gospel, right? You want people to become Christians, of course, but it's not done in the same way as Islam is. That's what I think, anyway. And
although the Spanish
there is consequence.
The Spanish Inquisition was the closest thing, wasn't it? Where they forced converted.
Well, I think around the world, there's a reason my name is Fernando, thanks to the Portuguese in the 1500s. But yeah, so yeah, it's a good. So look, it's definitely a very interesting.
Listen, I
question.
hope
We should get some theologians on this show one day. We should get someone from.
Listen, I hope Equity's right. It says it's the only thing standing between us and a completely Islamic takeover. But will they actually succeed? Look, I don't think in my time, but I think one day it's the only hope, that's for sure. Max Siegel says, is that Thai baht? Yeah, 69 Thai baht. What a
Santa FB paid super chat. Oh, yeah, but it didn't show up.
Does Facebook do super chat?
Facebook super chats don't show up for us on this platform yet. So the best place to do super chats, guys, is on YouTube.
Oh, sorry, guys. Dylan says, also, Avi, what do you think about diversity guidelines Hollywood made in 2024? Basically, you have to meet a diversity quota to be nominated for an Oscar. That means movies like Star Wars 1977 would have never been nominated. I what do I think of it? I think it's just stupid woke madness, which again shows that it's not about who's best at what they do. All these nominations mean nothing. It's just like, where on the victim card, where on the victim ladder do you sit?
Yeah.
I don't know why they even call it like Oscar nominations.
My pet hate is watching historical movies and all of a sudden they got some black person or an Indian or whatever playing a historically, white person. It's just weird. Even if it's not one of the main characters, even if it's one of the side characters, it just doesn't sit right. It's like taking a work of a real world story and turning into a work of fiction. So yeah, I don't like how that's gone that way. And now on Netflix, even you have entire shows like, I think, Bridgerton or whatever. It's set in the British English that kind of colonial period or the Victorian age. I can't remember, but everyone's black. And it's just like weird. It just doesn't like what the hell is going on? Like, who does this crap? Because you wouldn't see the Chinese or the Indians having shows in their country about their history, and having white people playing. Those. It doesn't make sense. It's not accurate. It's just silly. So
Maddie says, how is your Dr. Pepper, Rukshan?
my Dr. Pepper, Maddie, thanks for the super chat, is very good. So
Is that your weakness, Dr. Pepper?
No, I like Dr. Pepper. There used to be I remember going to Safeway back in the day, and you could pick up Dr. Pepper very easily. It's not really distributed in Woolworths and stuff.
How bad that is for you?
It's those small stores that have Dr. Pepper. I like Dr. Pepper. I mean,
if I'm already going to drink something that's killing me from the inside, it better have some alcohol in it. So at least I'm getting a buzz off it. Max 349 baht says there's a march in Sydney on the 29th. Put Australia first. I discovered the NSN plans to have Sul speak. What is your advice to other speakers regarding preparedness, messaging, and security? That rally is actually organised by good people.
Yeah, I had Monica on. Who's one of the organisers of this.
They are not welcome to those protests.
And that protest, there's a banner going around, Avi, that someone's made, one of these kind of gropers or NSN trolls. Yeah, they've made a banner. They've taken the banner for Put Australia First rally, and instead of Tommy Robinson, they've taken out Tommy Robinson's image and put Thomas Sewell as the head speaker. And it's been shared around, so saying that Thomas Sewell will be speaking there, the leader of the NSN, just to kind of obviously make
because they know how toxic their own brand is. You see, those guys are so gutless that they would not advertise themselves speaking at a rally that they're organising because they pretend like they're not organising, so people show up, and then rallies that people are saying they're not welcome to, because they don't want them. Firstly, because they are as un-Australian as you get, but they don't want them there. And so they realise that the best thing to ruin somebody else's event is say that they're coming because they know how much Australians hate them. Yeah. That's the funniest part about it. Even they know it. They don't advertise themselves at their own events because they want Australians to come. They know how toxic their brand is. And they advertise that they're coming to events that they want to ruin because they know how toxic their brand is. That sums up the entire National Socialist. Let's quickly do these last couple of stories because they were mentioned, and let's end tonight.
Looming social media ban. Teen Facebook and Instagram users are being told time is ticking on their accounts as Meta plans to remove under-16s from the platform early.
The first accounts to be deactivated on December 4, before the government's ban begins. Let's go live to Today Federal Politics reporter Liz Daniels. She's up and ready to go. Liz, good morning to you. This is a major win for the government.
Yeah, for all their pushback against these laws, guys, social media companies are now rushing to comply and proving that they can. Users of Facebook, Instagram and Threads have started to receive texts, emails and direct messages telling them that Meta has flagged them as being under 16 and that they now have 2 weeks to save their photos, posts and private messages. All up, about 500,000 accounts are to be deactivated come December 4, and those users will be blocked from creating a new one. Anyone who wants to challenge their ban can undergo a facial recognition scan or provide an ID like a driver's license. But despite these shutdowns, Meta continues to argue there are better options than an all-out ban. It says we should rely on its specific teen account settings, which limits who the user can contact and restricts certain ads. Sarah and Carl, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Kik and Reddit will all have to act soon too.
Liz, thank you.
I mean, my first thoughts on that is I think Facebook is obviously, is doing a service at least to inform these young people that they could lose access to all their stuff. And there is an ability, if you have Facebook, you can actually download all your data, which I recommend people actually do because you never know when you're going to lose access to your Meta account. And people have their lives on there. But even, I think in that aspect, it's a good thing that they're informing people. Obviously, Meta are not the ones who have pushed this particular ban on the under 16. So you can't really hold these companies accountable for what's happening, if that makes sense.
No,
I think
they fought against it. As much as I hate Meta, it's
as much as I don't like them, you can't really blame these companies for what's happening. This is a decision by the government. The companies are obviously very much against it because they would love nothing more than to have people growing up on their platforms from a young age. So I understand that argument as well. But the scary part of all of that is because obviously we hear things like facial recognition, digital identity, and these are topics that make us ponder, who the actual targets of these bans are, because it kind of enrolls all of us within that system to have access to our platforms as well. So it is a ban on under 16s, yes, but it also enrolls us in this new digital censorship style, surveillance scheme where we have to provide the government with our facial scans and whatnot. Who knows what that will exactly look like? Let's wait and see. It's going to happen. And we're going to have to either roll things back or really push against it, depending on how invasive all of it is. I mean, we should do it anyway, of course. But I'm just speaking from reality here. In about a month's time, or less than a month, these systems will be rolling out. And there's nothing in between now and then that's really going to stop this from happening. They're going full force with this.
Yep. All right. Another interesting story that I just want to quickly read because I don't think it's getting much attention is court issues arrest warrant for man who set fire to East Melbourne synagogue while up to 20 people were inside. This is the Iranian guy that was charged. The craziest part is that he was actually released on Monday on bail to appear on Wednesday for his sentencing. And he just didn't show up after spending 100 days in custody. Like, I just don't get the judicial system releasing him 2 days before his sentencing when he already did 100 days. Like, why was he even released? Anyways, he skipped bail, and that just shows how ridiculous our system is. This is the guy this was that synagogue in the city.
The smaller one. It's not the main one that we always speak about, but it's the other one. Yeah, it's the Iranian dude.
Anyways,
like you said, just everything's just screwed up in Victoria. This is
mental. I just don't know what part of that makes any sense. The fact that he was, like, you held him for 100 days. Why would the court release him for 2 days before his sentencing? And then he just skipped. Final story, some good news to end the night before we shut tonight's stream. That's gone a bit over time.
President Donald Trump has signed a law to release files on sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. The move starts a 30-day clock requiring the Justice Department to release documents and communications related to Epstein, including the investigation into his 2019 death in federal prison. According to the law, the DOJ can redact information about victims, but cannot withhold information because of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity.
Look, I think the only thing I want to end tonight's show saying from my perspective on that, I'm glad it's happening. I hope it happens. I hope no more funny business, no games, don't open investigations to be able to block some. Just get it out, rip this Band-Aid off. Let it be the fringe nutters on the fringe dwellers in the corner like Candace Owens that keep trying to push this thing that everyone's like, no, we got it. So that the average person looks at it and goes, yes, I am satisfied that you only redacted names of victims and not names of perpetrators or alleged perpetrators or whoever. Just give it to us. Give it to us already.
No one will ever be happy. They'll always say that something is being kept.
I think you can get the majority happy. I think you can get the majority happy.
I think Trump has, if you've been watching the Trump administration and his press secretary, I think they've figured that they can actually turn this into a win for them as well.
How?
But Trump is playing it smart because
tell me.
Yeah, they've gone on the whole, pointing out all the Democrats who are listed in there, and now they're putting questions to them in the houses of their parliament or whatever. They're putting those questions to them, as well as people within the right wing media are pointing these out as well. That there's these Democrat members who have a lot of connections to individuals in that, or they themselves are named in there, and now they're putting those questions back at them. So it's just become a political football for both sides, Avi. And they're gonna see it in that way. Whereas the rest of us, we're gonna try to pick out bits and pieces from it. And the overwhelming majority of people, like you have kind of alluded to, the Candace Owens of this world, are gonna be looking for conspiracy confirmation in there.
You know what I want?
They're gonna see what they want to see, regardless of whatever it says in there.
I have two things I want from this. I wanted just to be able to, like, just give us the transparency you promised, get it out there, and let's move on to the issues that you say matters more. Like, if it really is what Trump says, and it's just a bunch of embarrassing stuff for some people that may or may not be friends, whatever, just get it out, and get it out as transparently as possible. I'll tell you, if they redact full pages of things where it's clear you're not just hiding a victim's name or whatever, or protecting their identity, then the majority of people are just. But let it. I don't care if crazy people like Candace Owens are like picking up parts, saying, "You see, they're protecting their look." Doing her slew investigation. The other thing I want is I want enough good names on there so that when I'm in Davos next, I can bump into a few of the named perpetrators.
Well, the Justice Department has said that to release it unredacted is a national security threat. So I don't know what that means. Let's just see what these files come out as. But the Justice Department has very clearly said that to release those documents fully unredacted is a national security threat to America.
The bloody Israel again.
No comment.
It's probably the Russians. Let's just put it on. Let's probably put it.
Maybe Kozak knows something. We should call
I think Kozak was probably on Epstein Island.
We need to get Kozak on the show while he's still in the embassy, just for all time's sakes.
Oh no! All right, you can reach out to him because I've blocked him. You'll have to do it. You organise him and Chris. Anyways, I need to crash out. So good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the new style. Let us know if you think we should change anything up. I do like the scrolling comments. Hopefully we can build on it. I want to thank supporters, fans and foes equally, those that came here just to troll and those that want to be a part of our community.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. And we'll definitely be changing a few things before the next show, I think, just on the gradient side of the comments, just cleaning it up.
Wow.